Hello! Welcome to my end of year video where for some fucking reason I'm counting down my 100 favorite movies. I don't know why I make these videos because they take a really long time and I have to talk forever and it's a pain in the ass, but people seem to like them and I think I like making them. I don't know. A reminder that if you enjoy this, there is currently Patreon exclusive videos like this over at patreon.com/super Eyepatchwolf, where I have either just posted or am just about to post my ranking of the top, I don't know, like 40 shonen anime. It's me talking about shonen anime and ranking them according to which I like best. How much will I hate your favorite? I guess we'll see, but thank you. Okay, listen, I just want to jump straight into this list because it's going to take 4 fucking hours and I'm going to get really tired. Number 100, The Raid. 2011's Raid Redemption is an Indonesian martial arts film where the premise is just brutally fucking simple. A squad of badass SWAT team members must make their way up a giant apartment building, performing as much throat-punching brutality as they can in that time. Look at a fucking 5-second clip of The Raid and you'll immediately see why this film is so highly regarded, especially among martial arts fans. And I think for me, one of the things it kind of speaks to is that there is a grittiness to the violence in Raid. This is not the super beautiful kind of flowy kung fu techniques that you got in a lot of like martial arts films, especially those that got like popular in like the early 2000s. And while I love those movies as well, I think The Raid is a kind of swing back towards this more realistic, kind of fucked up, throat punchy fighting style. And it's beautiful. It also has like one of my favorite things in a martial arts movie, a bad guy who is straight up just a bigger badass than the good guys. I haven't watched it in ages. It's phenomenal, and I think this movie is a little bit better than The Raid 2, but I think The Raid 2 is also a more creative, ambitious movie. You have like Baseball Boy and Hammer Girl, and they fucking rule. And yeah, I just really adore this movie, and I kind of want to watch it again because it's been a while. I have a feeling I'm going to be saying that a lot in these videos. Number 99, Jim Carrey's The Mask. When I was a child, for whatever reason, I became really obsessed with this movie. I wanted like a yellow suit, like The Mask wears. This is sounding insane as I say it. And I remember seeing the trailer and just thinking like, wow, what a fucking insane movie. I really, really want to see that. And then I did. And guess what? It lived up to all my childhood dreams. I actually watched this film again very recently, about 6 months ago, and I was shocked at how well this movie held up. The effects in it, like all the kind of goofy, weird stuff that Jim Carrey does with his face and like all the crazy cartoon thing. So if you're not familiar with The Mask, it's basically a cursed object that lets you act like a cartoon. And this guy, Larry Ibkiss, finds a mask and it turns him into the smooth talking sociopath of his dreams. And it's just an incredibly fun movie. For a 90s comedy, there is a shocking lack of like weird, offensive shit in it. And it's just a lot of fun and like a testament to practical effects and how they stand the test of time when CG from this era looks like a fucking shit sandwich constantly. So yeah, The Mask, really funny, entertaining, tightly paced movie. Loved it. Number 98 is a more current movie. We have Godzilla -1. Look, it was a Godzilla movie that made me cry. Aside from the first Godzilla movie, which was also very tragic, but then in between those two, you have, I'm just saying, there's a lot of nonsense, but yeah, this movie somehow goes from being a story about a giant monster to the value of actually being alive and valuing your own life in a way that I think is genuinely really profound and beautiful. What helps it is this is maybe the scariest Godzilla has ever been. The first shot of Godzilla, when you see him merge out onto a beach and the camera pans up and he is this towering nightmare monster. I love Godzilla. I've never been like scared of him. I felt scared of him in this movie. He is just a horrifying engine of destruction in a way that I think so few movies are ever able to do with their kaiju, and this absolutely does. It's a beautiful story, it's an amazing looking movie, and it's the kind of movie I would have no hesitation like recommending to anyone, and if someone didn't like it, I would know not to be friends with them. You don't need to explain in the comments how you didn't like it, and that it's fine. I would probably maybe be friends with you, but like we're not off to a great start. Number 97, No Country for Old Men. Look, there's several movies on this list where like if you ask me to break down why I like them, I'm kind of gonna say nothing for 10 seconds and look you dead in the eye and just say vibes, man. No Country for Old Men is one of those movies. It is the story of a cop hunting a serial killer with the worst haircut of all time across America, and the madness that ensues. And it's a beautiful, very violent, very atmospheric movie. There's not a lot of dialogue. There's not even a lot that really happens, but it's just a phenomenal movie, and I really want to watch it again. Number 96, Men in Black. Okay, look, we can all agree that Will Smith has made some choices, and he probably shouldn't have slapped that man on stage, and he probably shouldn't have released that latest freestyle, and he probably shouldn't have done that weird.
Will Smith's action of slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars was a significant misstep, and reactions to his recent music, such as the lunch break freestyle, have been mixed, with some critics finding it underwhelming.
I think AI just tried to take my job. I think that's just, it's happening. It's actually happening. He also probably shouldn't have used AI generated crowds. That was bad, and also kind of made it look like that concert was taking place in hell because everyone had like 20 fingers. Will Smith used to be a treasure, is what I'm getting at. I used to be a big Will Smith fan. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's it. I thought there was more. There's not. And I love the original Men in Black. I think to this day, I think it's a phenomenal movie. I think him and Tommy Lee Jones have this amazing chemistry. It's a beautifully creative movie with fucking weird shit happening every 30 seconds. And like, this is one of the movies that used CG from the 90s that I think actually used it sparingly enough and mixed it up with practical effects that it actually holds up okay. It's fine. It's grand. But the movie itself just has like so much kind of swagger and fun to it in a way that I don't think any of the sequels ever really captured. And yeah, it's a kind of a relic of a movie, but it's beautiful. If you haven't seen it, it's basically this is when literally everyone didn't hate the government all the time, and it was about a special Men in Black agency tasked with like hunting and capturing extraterrestrials. But the agency also works with extraterrestrials. There's loads of fun aliens. It's lots of great action. It's just a solid ass movie. I love it. Number 95, where we are going all over the place with this next couple. Pulse. Pulse is a fucking boring movie. Pulse is a boring ass movie. It's like 2.5 hours long, and it doesn't need to be. And it is also one of the most horrifyingly atmospheric and beautifully shot movies I have ever seen. There is a part of me that says the most terrifying camera shot I have ever seen in a movie is in Pulse. And it's this section where a woman thing walks down a hallway and trips, and it is absolutely mind-bendingly frightening. Like, it really hit me, and it really fucked me up, and I loved it. I really loved it. I think the film loses itself in like the second half, but the fact that I have this much to criticize about it, and the fact that it's still number 95 on my list should tell you, like, this is a fucking amazing movie. Like, warts and all, and like, that's the thing I always say about art. I always want to appreciate the shit I love about something as opposed to the shit I didn't like. And if I really find things to love in your film, I will excuse so much shit. I will be happy to just sing its praises all day. And yeah, like, don't get me wrong, 95 is low on the list, I have seen a lot of movies. There are so many great movies that did not make this list. Okay, look, let me go through some of the honorable mentions here. Green Knight, Beyond the Mat, It Follows, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, The Incredible Shrinking Man, Garage, Lost in Translation. Insidious didn't make the list? That's fucking crazy. Mortal Kombat, Millennium Actress, Mean Girls, Indie Game the Movie, When Harry Met Sally, Kneecap, Hatchling, fucking awesome. Oh, Hatchling is such a weird, good horror movie. If you like horror about femininity and like being a woman, it's a fucking incredible movie. Go check it out. Dragon Ball Z Movie 7, Steven Spielberg's Duel, the last time Steven Spielberg made a good movie. That's not true, but I just don't think he's that great. Number 94, Roger Rabbit. I love Roger Rabbit. I think it is one of the most technically impressive movies to ever exist. It was a great test case for Space Jam. Like, it was a great prequel to one of the greatest movies of all time. But no, I really, really love Roger Rabbit. I think the level of artistry and animation on display here is phenomenal. I think the detective, is it Danny DeVito? I don't fucking know who it is. The main actor in this is phenomenal at making you believe he is actually having a conversation with a large rabbit. The toxic barrel scene from this movie is one of the most visceral scenes I have ever seen. It is absolutely fucking horrifying, and it involves a character taking a little cartoon shoe and basically submerging him in acid, and it completely traumatized me when I was little, and I love it because of that. I love every movie that traumatized me. I'm not saying we should try and traumatize children with movies, but every movie that traumatized me when I was little, I now deeply love, and I think, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I think maybe there's something there. Number 93, The Exorcist. I mean, fucking one of the greatest movies of all time, without question. Foundational in horror movies, foundational in just how to make a movie that hurts. You know, I hate watching this movie. I find The Exorcist exhausting. It grinds you down. It's just this absolutely horrifying experience, and it touches on so much about like our relationship with religion and how that feels. I also think it's a movie that kind of really touches on like what it's like to live with someone who is not well, you know, what it's like to live with someone who is living with a kind of serious physical or mental illness, and how draining that can be on everyone around them. Favorite scene from this movie is probably the spider walk down the stairs. Absolutely horrifying. Love it. Number 92, Ricky-O, The Story of Ricky. Okay, look, there are martial arts films that feel violent. There are martial arts films that feel graceful and beautiful. There's martial arts films that feel like intense. Nothing feels like Ricky-O. This is a grindhouse horror martial arts movie, and it is a fucking fever dream. Some of the things that occur in this movie are Ricky, the main character, by the time he gets to jail, they scan him, and he's already been shot like 18 times, and they're like, you have bullets in you, and he goes, you call them bullets, I call them souvenirs. And then he goes into the prison, I think it's to avenge his dad, I don't know, and he has to fight his way up the prison, and he gets into these just literal gore battles where he is punching holes through the other inmates. Blood is spraying everywhere constantly. At one point, he punches open a man's stomach, and the man takes his own intestines and strangles Ricky with them. That is what we are dealing with here. It is a beautifully insane movie. I deeply, deeply love it. And if you haven't checked it out and are a fan of just unusual movies, or martial arts, or horror movies, or gore, you gotta check this one out. It's fucking brilliant. And if you have watched it, you should go read the manga, because the whole thing in Ricky-O is Ricky is the most badass character in the world. Immediately after this film takes place in the manga, someone shows up and beats Ricky in one hit. It's fucking great, and the author has wrote so much crazy shit. It's insane. Number 91, Kamikaze Girls. Kamikaze Girls is basically a story about two teenage girls. One of them is like kind of gothic, it's a Japanese movie. One of them's like a gothic Lolita kind of fashion person, and the other is the kind of Sukaban, like biker girl. And it's just an incredible movie. It is just so much fun. It is so funny. It is so beautiful. The girls, like, styling and outfits, like, they constantly look incredible the entire movie. And it is just a joy. I haven't watched it in maybe 15 years, and this is another one I kind of just want to go downstairs and watch it, like, right now. It is, if you need, like, good vibes, if you're going through it and you need to feel a little positivity, Kamikaze Girls absolutely fucking rules. You know what? On that note, this is probably being released in or around the holidays, and I'm gonna say, check on your homies. The holidays can be like a really rough time for people. Not me. I love the holidays. I feel such joy at the time I'm going to have over the holidays. But it's like the holidays can be really tough for people, and I think there's a lot of despair out there right now, you know, and I think different people are feeling it in different ways. And so, like, you know, check on your mates, check on your friends. If you're a dude, especially, check on your dude friends, cause guys don't know how to talk about that stuff, and guys, I think, are very rarely given the opportunity to. And hell, if you're a girl, check on your dude friends, and also your girl friends. My point here is empathy. I think empathy is good. Number 90. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. If you have not seen Puss in Boots and The Last Wish, you don't know how fucking hard this movie goes, okay? You might think that, like, a Shrek spin-off movie being on my 100 greatest movies of all time list is, like, kind of bullshit. I guarantee you, no one who has seen this movie thinks that. This movie is fucking phenomenal. It is like, okay, it looks beautiful. Its animation is amazing. It's really funny. There's, like, several just, like, amazing laugh out loud moments, and it's just it's an incredible movie. But I think the real reason it's here is this has one of the best villains I have ever seen, not just, like, in an animated TV show, in anything. Go watch the Wolf introduction on YouTube. Just, like, the 3-minute clip of that character entering this movie. And just, like, the fucking aura from this dude, the level of fear he instills in Puss, it is absolutely incredible. And then they somehow kind of siphon this whole, like, you know, 3D animated caper, lots of wild shit happening, into a character learning to accept his own death. It's fucking an amazing movie. Like, if anything, it could nearly stand to go higher. But, I mean, it's just killers. This entire list is just killers, so I understand why it's not. And yeah, I deeply, deeply adore this movie, and I know there's going to be at least a couple of people who see this and are like, really? A fucking Shrek spin-off movie? Just go watch this movie, please. It is incredible. Number 89, Dragon Ball Super Broly. This is my favorite Dragon Ball movie. I love it so much, and there's so much I love about it. The characters like Chilai that they introduced are so much fun, and they're so cute and weird. But here's something, okay? I don't actually like Broly. I've never thought Broly was, like, a very interesting villain in the original Dragon Ball. And I guess that's not too unusual a sentiment, because I have seen, like, the pushback was like, oh no, Broly was actually a really good character. I don't think so. I think Broly was, like, what if number really, really big. And I just think that, like, anything you could dig into his character, there's other characters in Dragon Ball, in the Dragon Ball universe, who do it in more interesting ways. And yeah, so I, you know, when I saw that they were doing a Broly movie, I was like, okay. And I absolutely fucking loved this movie. I think what's really shocking to me about this movie is it's weirdly, like, meditative on what Dragon Ball is. And it's really like, okay, but what if maybe violence wasn't, like, the solution here? Which you don't fucking expect from a Dragon Ball Z movie. On top of that as well, it is quite simply one of the most gorgeous movies I've ever seen. The animation, the color palette, the way they use 3D, and I mean that in a positive way, it is absolutely fucking brilliant. Any Dragon Ball movies also that gives Vegeta his flowers is always gonna, like, you know, be good, great with me. And I absolutely loved it. In the same, like, span of months, I saw this and Promare. I thought Promare was okay. I liked it well enough. I loved this. I thought it was such a beautiful, gorgeous movie. And it's also passed the test of I have showed it to non-Dragon Ball fans. they also loved it. Like, people who had no idea or no interest in Dragon Ball, and they thought it was a great movie. Number 88, Naked Gun 2.5. This was a toss-up between this and the original Naked Gun. And honestly, I loved that new Naked Gun movie so much. I think this slot is like interchangeable for any of them. So if you're not familiar, Naked Gun is it's a kind of movie they don't make anymore. It's a really surreal comedy cop movie, and it's like it's actually really interesting to like dig into what these movies are and why they're different. Reality is so fucking strange and skewed in these films. Like, they're very like they're very weird, but they're also just hilarious. Like, there is constant like strange things happening and characters reacting to them in like really bizarre ways. The filmmaking in them is unbelievable, and like the way they kind of like mislead the audience and like just kind of make you think weird shit is happening. It is fantastic. It is so good. But at the center of them all is Leslie Nielsen. Leslie Nielsen is one of my favorite actors of all time. He played this really stoic detective in like an old TV show, and then he decided he wanted to try his hand at comedy, and I love deadpan humor. I love characters that are able to look into the camera with a straight face and make you laugh. And I think that love started here with Leslie Nielsen and these movies. I loved these movies as a kid for how weird they were, and that never went away. Like, just there's something that happens in movies where I feel like the movies are like generous. Like, every 60 seconds, something new is happening. There's some treat to the audience. Like, the writers have sat down and thought about this scene and been like, okay, how do we give something the audience to laugh at, like, multiple times over this scene? And they've dissected it and kind of parsed it out, and there's thought in every single bit of it, and that is these movies. Like, they're Naked Gun, this third one, Naked Gun 33 and a third. It's okay. There's like a shitty trans joke that I don't super appreciate, that like aged badly. And like, look, I know it was made in the 90s, different standards or whatever. Doesn't mean I have to like it now. But I think the first two are phenomenal, and the most recent movie is actually, I think, as good as them. So yeah, you could replace any of these. You could place 2.5 with 1 or 4. They're just brilliant. Number 87. Fire Walk With Me, the Twin Peaks movie. This movie is a nightmare. This movie is not at all what I was expecting from the Twin Peaks movie when I first saw it. You've probably heard me talk about Twin Peaks before. Well, maybe not actually. I don't think I've ever done. Oh no, I did a favorite things section on Twin Peaks 8 years ago, maybe, but I really deeply love Twin Peaks. There's a lot about me creatively that I think goes back to Twin Peaks, and like the idea of a strange town, the idea of a place where reality is like a little soft, a little strange, you know, and I really the idea of a micro community, like the idea of a little ecosystem that is this world, you know, like I love that about Twin Peaks so much. And what Fire Walk With Me is it's that same story, except you are seeing all the darkest parts of it. It is an absolutely brutal movie. It is just this, like, there's scenes in it where it's very difficult to tell what's happening. There's scenes where it's like you can't hear the characters speak, and it's just, they go on and on. But it is like this kind of, in Twin Peaks, I think one of the beautiful things about it is it's like this really whimsical and fun series that has this extreme darkness constantly tiptoeing around the edges of it. But Twin Peaks is like a place I want to go. It's a place that I want to spend time with. Fire Walk With Me shows that world in just this horrifying light. Like, I don't want to live in Fire Walk With Me. I think it looks like a horrible place to be. But I think in that, it's like an amazing companion piece to Twin Peaks, because it's like, okay, you know that darkness we've been holding back? Here it is. Here is the violence of this community. Here is the nihilism of this place. And this is what's always been creeping out into the edges. And I think that it's just a really beautiful and powerful and kind of horrifying thing. And yeah, I love it. I still think back to it sometimes, and it kind of makes me go cold. Speaking of films that make me go cold, let's go for films that make me go hot. I regret this immediately. It's number 86, Mulholland Drive. Another David Lynch, and it is maybe my favorite David Lynch movie, and it is kind of everything we talked about in terms of Twin Peaks being this surreal, strange experience, except now it is in Los Angeles, and the kind of nightmare scape that is. There's so many strange little set pieces in this movie, and it is just this odd journey through this weird world of like filmmaking and production and a bunch of other stuff, and it's fucking bizarre. It also has like just one of the most iconic sex scenes of all time, which helps, and you should be over 18 watching this movie and this video and all my videos. So yeah, keep that in mind. Also, I'm wearing a different t-shirt because I skipped over this bit yesterday, and Fox messaged me saying that I had skipped over it, and so here it is now. There's some behind the scenes footage. For dyslexia is a curse. It's just a curse. It's very difficult. Back to yesterday. You know what doesn't make me go cold? Number 85. Hang on. Let me say this in a way that like my American viewers won't like lose their shit at. R. There you go. To everyone who makes fun of the way I say or, fuck you. Yeah, this is Rise, Roar, Revolt. This movie is an absolute fucking delight. I love this movie. I haven't experienced too much Dollywood style movies, and this leads me to believe that I need to watch more. I really feel that joy in art is transferable. I feel that when people take joy in creating something, you can feel that. And I don't know that I've ever felt it as strongly as with or like that. It's just this beautifully insane movie where there's okay, one of my favorite things about this movie, it's about English colonizers in India, and all the English colonizers are played by Irish people, because who better to understand what they did? And it's about this one guy. He's like a soldier on the side of the English, and this other guy who is he's from like the deep kind of like forests of India, and a little girl has been stolen from those forests, and he's trying to get her back, and they kind of meet in the middle, and neither of them know that the other one is on the other side. There's a little kind of spy shit going on, but then they become best friends and maybe lovers, depending on how you choose to interpret the script. And it is also just the most fucking insane action I have ever seen. At one point, one of the guys crashes a bus into like a English high society dinner. That's already like extreme, right? Like that's already kind of crazy. The bus is filled with wild animals, including tigers, and he Akira slides the bus onto its side, and all the animals shoot out onto the fucking English dignitaries, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I have a lot of friends who are English. I love a lot of English people, genuinely. I'm always gonna be happy to see the Crown get its fucking comeuppance, and this does it in the most joyous of ways. There are so many moments in this movie where it's just like hands on your heads, cackling from the insanity that you are seeing. And it also has a beautiful dance number that I also had to learn. You can't see my feet, I'm doing it. I had to learn it for a fucking thing. It's fine. But yeah, I love it. Again, this is another movie where, like, if one of my boys, most of which are girls, were depressed, I'd bring them over, I'd put a blanket around them, and I would watch Roar, Rise, Revolt with them. But yeah, incredible movie. Number 84, Night of the Living Dead. I don't like zombie shit that much, just because I feel like I went through a really intense phase of loving zombie movies, and once I just watched a lot of them in a row, and I kind of started to see like, oh man, they're kind of so similar, and like you still get really weird, interesting, creative zombie movies like One Shot of the Dead, I think it's called, and then you all like Hatred was a really fucking gnarly South Korean one from a little while ago. But Night of the Living Dead is and I'm talking about like the old black and white one, is a legit fucking masterpiece of a movie. Still frightening, still harrowing. It featured one of the first times in cinema history that a black man was given like a prominent place in it. And I know there's gonna be people being like, it doesn't make it a good movie. Yeah, it kind of does a little. Shut the fuck up. But even regardless of that, it is an incredible, incredible movie, and there's just like such an artistry to how it's all staged. The zombies feel mysterious and dangerous and fucked up. They still somehow to this day, when I watch a lot of zombie media, I look at a zombie and I see zombie. I just see like, yep, that's a zombie. When I watch this movie, I see a dead corpse that is moving. You know, and there's such a difference in those two things, and it's a really, really great movie. If you're like a horror fan and you haven't like gone back and watched some of the old shit, watch this, watch Incredible Shrinking Man. Like, there's so much good shit in there, and like, just because it's old doesn't mean it isn't great. Great art doesn't age. It doesn't get old. It doesn't get worse or less consumable. It's just good design lasts, good art lasts, passion lasts, and that's why you should watch this shit. Speaking of which, Porco Rosso. I don't think I've ever really talked about how much like Studio Ghibli stuff I watched or liked. I've watched everything. I've watched every Studio Ghibli movie, and I don't think I dislike any of them. I think they're all great. I think the only reason I've ever really done like a video on Ghibli or something like that is just because I don't know that I have anything that interesting to say about Ghibli. You know, I think for a while I wanted to do a video about how like Ghibli is interesting because it doesn't pull from anime, it doesn't pull from tropes, it kind of just pulls from life and observation. And then I think it was Captain Christian maybe who did a video and it had a very similar idea. I don't know. I could probably fucking do that now, but I'm probably not gonna. There's loads of shit I want to make. But yeah, Porco Rosso is a just beautiful movie. Absolutely gorgeous. It has one of my favorite lines of all time, where someone's like, it's about a fighter pilot pig, and someone asks him, "What made you a pig?" And he just responds, "Middle age." It's also a pretty cool line about he'd rather be a pig than a fascist. And you know what? Same. Of course, like everything else about it is just phenomenal. Like it's a gorgeous looking movie. The animation is it's in its own stratosphere. Like nothing feels like the way Studio Ghibli moves. And it's not like, I'm not saying it's like the best animation or the most lavish animation. It is some of the most skillful animation, like how they pick their frames, how they pick their posing, the things they choose to illustrate and put their time into is completely different from any other animation house, and I absolutely adore it. There are other Studio Ghibli movies on this list, but Porco Rosso is still an absolutely phenomenal movie, and I don't give a fuck about planes. I don't give a fuck about fighter pilots. I still love this movie. Number 82, the first maybe controversial pick, I'm gonna say, Terrifier 2. Look, I love Terrifier. I watched it all last year and found myself just delighted by it. Now, look, there's a couple of things to that. First of all, I love horror and have been watching horror all my life. Ever since I was a wee child, I was seeing shit that I should not have seen, so I am very used to horror. I get a kick out of gore, I get a kick out of extreme violence, and I especially get a kick out of the actor who plays Terrifier. David Howard Thornton, he makes these movies. This is the kind of thing where if you got a different actor to play Art the Clown, they might do an okay job. These movies are not what they currently are. And it's the way he prances and sneaks, and just the scariest thing about Art, right? And I think the thing that separates him from like Michael Myers or Jason or any of the other slasher villains, Art is so delighted to be murdering you. He is so just out of his mind in euphoria at what he is about to do for you. And it is terrifying. And one of the things I always think about slasher movies, right, is like, what is the actual fear of slasher movies? And you could say, well, it's fear of men with big knives, which, yeah, sure. But I think, to me, one of the biggest fear about slasher movies is it's the idea that this entity that you have no idea what it is or why it's there could one day walk into your life and ruin everything. And I think Art the Clown is such an incredible example of that, because of that delight, because of, he is murdering these people, he is maiming them, he is mutilating them, and he is delighted by it. He's so happy. And then I think Terrifier 1, I think, is like an interesting, like, it's a kind of okay slasher movie. Terrifier 2 is legit interesting and fun. There is like this little evil girl clown in it. She is my favorite thing about Terrifier. She is so frightening and weird and strange, and I was so bummed out when she didn't come back for Terrifier 3. Terrifier 3 is okay. It's a fun, spooky Christmas movie, and I love spooky Christmas. But Terrifier 2, it's like, there's like an atmosphere to this movie. There's like an 80s vibe to this movie, and so much of it is covered in neon and gore, and like the bedroom scene from this movie is legit one of the most shocking scenes I have ever seen. I really don't recommend this movie unless you at least have a pretty established kind of penchant and tolerance for violence and horror movies. I know there's some people who kind of find these movies like kind of upsetting or like offensive even. And what I would say is, like, horror is about exploring the fucked up parts of what it is to be alive. And for some of us, like me, it lets us contextualize those things in a way that kind of feels digestible in a weird way. It's hard to explain, and I understand some people are going to be like, how the fuck could you like that movie? I just do. And yeah, Terrifier 2, if you like horror, I think it's awesome. Number 81, 2001, A Space Odyssey. I'm going to say, this Stanley Kubrick kid, he's not bad. He's not bad. He came out with this interesting little sci-fi movie, and, I think he did all right. He did all right. I'm going to say, this kid has the chops to be a filmmaker. And if he wants to keep making movies, I think his career could really go somewhere. I really, really do. So, maybe this one is playing in like a little kind of rundown cinema. Don't go in knowing too much, because I think when you learn who the villain is, you're gonna be pretty surprised. Yeah. So yeah, that's a little indie pick for you there. Number 80, Ong Bak. Ong Bak is a film from Thailand about Muay Thai and about basically the best Muay Thai fighter of all time. The reason this movie blew up and the reason it's on this list is simple. It's Tony Jaa. Tony Jaa is one of the most incredible physical performers I have ever seen in anything. The way he throws kicks is unlike anything else I have ever seen. There's a physicality to the way he's able to load his entire body into a kick and make it feel like you are watching someone die when he hits them. There's so many incredible scenes in this movie, and it's just a really just like an hour and a half of pure like power fantasy action, and I absolutely adore it. I would say that I think it would be even higher on this list if they had managed to introduce like a rival for Tony Jaa in this movie, because it really is him just tearing through 80 different people, and it's a fucking joy to watch, don't get me wrong, but it's like, to me, the martial arts movie is always about the rival battle. Like, that's what I want to see. But even like without something like that, it's still so like high up in my general just estimation of films. If you're a fan of martial arts and you've never seen it and you want to see like a completely different flavor of martial arts, like, this is not kung fu, this is Muay Thai, and it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. Number 79, TMNT Mutant Mayhem. This movie aesthetically might be my favorite movie of all time. If you just want to break it down into just the pure aesthetic of what this film looks like, The arcade scene in particular is absolutely stunning. Just one of the most gorgeous pieces of cinema I have ever seen. I love every ugly character model. I love how they move. I feel like this is one of those movies that really makes me feel like we are finally out of the Pixar era of animated movies. You know, it's like this movie is weird and ugly, and it's like the characters they're kind of cute, but they're kind of gross as well. But it's also like hilarious. Like the script is so good. Their interpretation of the like turtles and like their archetypes is just absolutely brilliant. Everything about this movie is so spot on. And like as a longtime Turtles fan, like I got this is Slash from the Turtles. Slash is like he's like an evil bad guy turtle, and he's kind of weird and fucked up, but he's kind of just misunderstood, you know. And sometimes I kind of feel like misunderstood, so I really relate to this. I'm losing my voice. I really relate to this plastic turtle. Okay. Some of us are just kind of born weird. You know, some of us are just kind of born weird. You just fucking, you deal with it, you know? I love Slash so much. Number 78, Enter the Dragon. For me, this is the Bruce Lee movie. If you want to know why Bruce Lee was a big deal, why he had such an impact on martial arts and film and martial arts films, this is the movie you watch. It is just absolutely stunning fight scenes from beginning to end. The choreography is beautiful. Bruce Lee just had this raw charisma. Like, the dude did not need to be throwing kicks like to your fucking head to just like exude. Okay, for the children in the audience, this dude had aura out the fucking ass, okay? And I feel like, you know, if you're getting into cinema's history and like if you're maybe getting to the age where you're starting to take movies like a little more seriously, Bruce Lee movies are absolutely one of the stops you gotta make in terms of just like watch one or two, and I would really suggest Enter the Dragon. I absolutely love this movie. A bunch of martial artists end up on a spooky martial arts island. Something is wrong. It is incredible. It is such a good movie. I think also this is the movie where for a single, there's a guy who runs up to Bruce Lee in a big fight scene. Bruce Lee grabs his head and just breaks it. That was the only scene Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan ever shot together. And it's awesome. And yeah, I adore this movie. It is just like, if you care about physicality, if you care about like physical performance, like there's so much of it in this, and it is absolutely amazing. I also love Game of Death. I also love Way of the Dragon. I think this is maybe a better movie than those movies, but I still love them. Yeah. Number 77, The Blair Witch. Okay, look, when I was little, my cousins showed me The Blair Witch, and they told me it was real, and that might be the most scared I've ever been. And you can't watch that movie like this now. I still think what this movie is amazing. And I think one of the things about it is, like, if you're not familiar, somehow, this is a movie where a bunch of college students go off into the woods to make a documentary about the witch that lives there. And it is them getting lost. It is things going very wrong, and it is things getting extremely spooky. And the movie had like a $30,000 budget. It was nothing, and it became a global sensation. And I think one thing I love about horror is I feel like it's one of the only genres that can happen in anymore. You know, you can get someone who, you can like get a small crew together with a great idea and talented actors, and you can make something frightening. Because horror is about emotion. Horror is about feeling something. It's not about spectacle. It's not about drama. It's not about a lot of things. It's about visceral reactions and creating that in the audience. And I think more so than any movie I've ever watched, this movie creates the feeling of getting lost. It captures the heart. If you've ever gotten like lost in a forest or on a trail, and I have, and it is terrifying, it so beautifully and horrifyingly recreates that feeling. But then once it has you there, it says, now, you're lost. what if things could go as bad as they possibly could? And it's an incredible movie. I love it. Number 76, Eraserhead. I don't know what this fucking movie is. David Lynch, you crazy son of a bitch. I love it. This is a vibes movie. This is a movie about a guy who gets a girl pregnant, and then a turkey explodes, and then a bunch of weird shit happens, and it's been so long since I've seen it, I couldn't even tell you what the fuck it's meant to be going on here, and I don't need to. I know how this movie made me feel. I know it makes a lot of people feel that way. If you want something that is going to fucking just uppercut you out of reality for the length of this movie, midnight screening, yourself, headphones on. Do not watch this film with buddies. This is a solitary experience. Sit there, arms crossed, let it happen. That's not going to be the only movie that I describe like that, but I think it is critical that that's how you watch it. Number 75. Oh, The Handmaid. The Handmaid to me is like my favorite lesbian movie. It's a beautiful love story about two people finding each other in this extremely grim situation, but the movie is also like fun and sexy and weird and strange, and I absolutely adored this movie. And it's just I have a lot of lesbian friends, and I just want those little guys to be happy, and this movie lets me I don't know where that sentence is going. It's a great movie. It's really beautifully shot. There's weird, like, kind of semi-horror things about it. There's really fun, strange things about it. And I think it's just the raw chemistry between the two actors at the heart of this movie. Absolutely phenomenal. Number 74, Lady Vengeance. Technically the second entry from the Vengeance trilogy on this list. Lady Vengeance is a film I watched a long time ago, and I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as Old Boy. And I think I was kind of disappointed by it because it wasn't as violent, as in there wasn't as much fighting, and then like it was less of an action movie and less of a video game of a movie in some ways, and it was more so about the concept of redemption and what it means to atone for something. And it was I think just when I was a teenager, or when I watched this movie in like my early 20s, it just wasn't the Park Chan-wook movie that I was looking for, you know? And so I kind of just, you know, I thought it was fine. I just didn't really think about it again until recently on Versus Wolves, one of Wooly's challenges or recommends, that's the problem with Versus Wolves. I never know to say if they're challenges or recommends, and it really varies from month to month. But it was to watch the Vengeance trilogy, 3 of Wooly's favorite movies of all time. And I watched Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, absolutely loved it. Aesthetically, maybe my favorite like live action movie ever. I adore how that movie looks. Old Boy, you just can't fucking argue with Old Boy. Incredible movie. Man wakes up in a hotel room after being trapped for 20 years, has to work out who did it and why. Insanity unfolds. Lady Vengeance, in a lot of ways, is a more character-driven story. It's more about what's going on inside this woman who was involved in these horrific child murders, and how she atones for that. How she kind of gets at the root for, like, what the person who did this actually needs to go through in order for her to be able to, like, accept atonement for what's happened. It's like, it is a grim movie, but it is also a very fun movie. Like, there's a real kind of playfulness to it, and I think especially the last scene in the diner, and that's not going to spoil anything for you, is something that I completely, like, just, it did not hit me at all when I was younger, and it hit me like a fucking freight train this time around. And, like, it's about tragedy and what it takes to move on, and then it's also, like, an incredibly violent movie with this fucking insane Rube Goldberg-esque plan to fucking get this guy. And it's a beautiful movie, and I have a feeling that, like, this is the kind of movie where I'm going to rewatch this movie again in a couple of years, and I think my estimation of it is going to go up again. Like, it's that good. Number 73, one of my favorite action movies of all time, Last Action Hero. I'm a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I feel like he is one of the most misunderstood actors in the entire world. He is what the meathead action movie star was built around. This fucking dumb idiot with a bunch of muscles who you wheel out onto a film set, tip him over, and just shoot him being like, yes. That is not who Arnold Schwarzenegger is at all. He is like this incredibly intelligent, driven person. And I know all this because I read his book last year. And he's kind of sort of dumb and optimistic in some ways, but then he is also like just very, very creative and driven. And like, I know he was like a Republican congressman, but even then he pissed off so many Republicans with that, and he seems like an okay guy to me, is all I'm saying. But I think his like comedic skills are very underrated, and I think his general ability to like make you invested in him is very underrated. And this is not the only Arnold Schwarzenegger movie on this list, but Last Action Hero actually didn't do very well in its time, and I think that's because it was genuinely, and I know people are going to think I'm insane for saying this, it was ahead of its time. This is a movie about an action hero being pulled out of the movie world and being drawn into the real world. Well, first it's about a kid who gets pulled into the movie world, and it's extremely like meta. Like, it's really like deconstruction. I know people hate that word, but it's what the fuck it is. It's like a deconstruction of like action movies and like all the kind of action tropes. So like, he walks into his apartment and immediately walks over to his wardrobe, points a gun at his wardrobe and shoots it, because there's always a bad guy waiting in his wardrobe. He knows that. He knows the rules of being an action star. He just doesn't know his life is fictional. And it's really funny and weird, and I think it's beautifully paced. It's really well shot, and I think it's genuinely a phenomenal movie. I think it's one of the most underrated movies in existence, and I just don't think people were ready for that in like 1993 when this came out. I think it was 1993. But it was like a year or 2 years later, you had Scream, which was the exact same kind of concept, well, like at least philosophically, for horror movies. This like turned the lens on the idea of a movie itself and deconstruct it and play with tropes and all that kind of stuff, and done really effectively. I really feel like this is that for action movies, and it works beautifully, especially nowadays. And I just think it's a very funny, entertaining movie as well. Like, I think there's several laugh out loud moments, there's a lot of incredible action set pieces, there's some great characters, and it's good. Arnold Schwarzenegger has a conversation with an animated cat in like a trench coat. This movie knows what it is. Number 72, Hereditary. Icon of modern horror, right? Just one of the most uncomfortable, disturbing movies to ever find mainstream success. This movie is right on the edge of one of my favorite genres of movies that I personally call day ruiners. Horror films that are so extreme and so fucked up that like you don't really want to be planning too much for the rest of the day, because you're gonna be left a little sore. Hereditary is one of those movies. It is a story of a woman's mother dies. Seems that her mother might have been involved in some spooky shit, and it's a lot about like trauma that gets passed on generationally, but also about, you know, religion and how we kind of look at it, and like what kind of what it sort of means to different people, and grief and all this kind of stuff. And it's just this really awful, horrible movie. And again, I think it's one of the movies where it's really carried by some of the central performances here. The little girl in this movie, I don't know her name, but I love that she isn't like child star cute. She feels just kind of weird, like a lot of kids feel, and I think it's really easy to kind of relate to her and to kind of empathize with her because of that. Toni Collette is just all time, like, you want to talk about someone who can pull fucked up faces and make you believe them. Toni Collette is a god in that department, and she absolutely just kills it here. The movie is a slow boil of like increasing discomfort until the thing happens, and the thing is so nightmarishly upsetting in a way that, like, this wouldn't even need to be a horror movie to be disturbing, but the fact that it is and the places that it goes with this tragedy that occurs in the middle of the movie is so fucking beautiful and horrifying, and I just absolutely love this movie. Number 71, 13. It's funny, I actually have a friend who really fucking hates this movie, and she gives me shit every time I bring it up, but I absolutely adore this movie. And because I think the reason for that is it's like there was a couple of times when I was a teenager that I got involved in, I'd say, what you would call like some bad crowds, you know, and that's probably surprising to people, but my teenage years, like, they were really fucking weird, you know, like, I experimented a lot with drugs. I was with people that I shouldn't have been with. That's a whole other, never mind. But it's like my teenage years were messy. They were really, really fucking messy. And there's a particular kind of entertainment that I think captures that, like, messiness, you know. And one of them is Euphoria. And I feel like one of the best pieces of writing that I have ever done is if you're on the Discord, if you're on the Patreon, which you can get to for only $1, there's a review of Euphoria in the review hole that I think really kind of gets at what I'm getting at here. And I think that review, like, I think because that is like a smaller space, I feel a bit safer to kind of go into the specifics of these things. But it was like, things got really messy for me when I was a teenager, and 13 is a movie that I can really see that in. A 14-year-old, or I think a 15-year-old girl helped write this movie, and I feel like there's a lot of those experiences reflected in that. It really captures the pull of seeing kids your age who are doing adult things, who are doing like shit that maybe they shouldn't and maybe they're not ready for, and like the euphoria of getting involved in that stuff with them and feeling like you're entering adulthood together and all this kind of stuff. And I think it also really captures like the tragedy of when you kind of wake up from that and realize you've gone too far. And I definitely had my case of that. Like, I remember it was basically, I was out one night, I was like 15 years old, and I got like blasted drunk. I drank like an entire bottle of vodka and like completely KO'd, and like my friends had to bring me home. I smashed my head open, and I just woke up on the floor, and I'd been with a girl called Lauren the previous night, and I remember just like looking up at the ceiling and just being like, Lauren? And my mom was like, my mom just goes like, Lauren, me arse, it's your mother. And I looked at her, and I could see like both my parents, and they were so worried, and I felt so fucking bad. I woke up the next morning, and the next morning was Mother's Day. I had done this the morning of Mother's Day. Like, I had been handed back to my parents in this drunken fucking state. And I was still like drunk off my ass. My dad told me to go get a shower, and I did. And I remember like washing the blood from my hair out, and just like watching it like swirl in the drain below me, and just thinking like I can't do this shit anymore. Like, this is fucked up, and it's hurting my parents so much, and all they have is me, you know. And I guess what I'm saying is that there's a few pieces of media that really capture that feeling. I think this movie is one of them. Haven't watched it in a long time, but I think it's also one of the ones that I really want to put on my list as a rewatch. Also, Euphoria Season 2 makes me feel like that as well. If you like Euphoria Season 2, I think this and Skins are kind of instrumental into that existing. But yeah, 13. Number 70, Plague Dogs. Oh my fucking god, Plague Dogs. I think there's an argument to be made that Plague Dogs is the most upsetting animated movie of all time. And I would even put it toe-to-toe with Grave of the Fireflies in that. Plague Dogs is this bizarre movie about dogs that have been experimented on. And it's beautifully animated, like, it looks good. And it's about them escaping captivity and trying to survive in the wild. And it is absolutely brutal in its depiction of that. Like, one of them is kind of neurotic and he hears voices and all this kind of stuff, and it's awful. Like, it's really awful, and there's like a cruelty to it and a violence to it. And it's like, you know, the dogs are forced to, you see just these nightmarish sequences of everything that the dogs are forced to in their experiments. And then like there's this scene with a shotgun, which I'm not going to say anything about, but if you want to get a little bit fucked up right now, just look up the shotgun scene from Plague Dogs. It is horrible. But I think in its cruelty, in its like just absurdly sorrowful feel, it taps into something very profound and real about how hard it is to watch animals suffer. And I think in that, it's like there's something about empathy there. There's something about like your desire to protect these creatures that cannot protect themselves. And you know, I fucking love animals so much more than people in so many ways. And so it's a very powerful movie in that regard. It's a day ruiner. It's a day ruiner. Do not watch this movie if you have like a fun brunch to go to. But yeah, Plague Dogs number 70. Number 69, Drunken Master. Look, if you want to know why Jackie Chan was a big deal, and I think sometimes we in the West do not understand how big a deal Jackie Chan was, especially in China, Drunken Master is the film to watch. When it was revealed to the public that Jackie Chan was engaged, when he was like at his height in China, there was like a mass mourning of women because he was like such a like object of desire over there. And I believe I read the book Last Action Heroes last year, and I actually talked about how one or even more women took their own lives out of grief of the idea of never being able to be with Jackie Chan. That's how massive he was. And I think it's because, like, I think the reason he was so successful and the reason he was able to break out in America is because he is this impossible combination of, like, comedy and athleticism in a way that is just, like, fucking mind-bendingly, like, good. Like, he has Bruce Lee's charisma, but in a goofier, more kind of fun way, and I adore his early work. I really love like old Jackie Chan movies. They never ever fail to make me feel like just so enamored with like the physical performance, and I get so swept up in the action scenes, and I just think they're incredibly beautiful. In recent years, it's kind of been released that Jackie Chan might not be so fucking hot, might not be a great person, and it sucks, but I still really like this movie. I think it's just close to the best martial arts, the best old school martial arts movie there is, and people are going to go back and forth on that, but I absolutely adore it. This is one of the films that really popularized, like, well, this and 36 Chambers of Shaolin, but of like training and like there's like extended sequences of Jackie Chan going through this grueling kung fu training to learn this drunken kung fu, and it's just beautiful in how much comedy he's able to inject into those scenes, but also like the physical feats he's performing in them, because that's the thing, Jackie Chan was a stunt worker, you know, he was a stunt man and he did everything. And there's a reality to when you see him do a stunt. When you see him dive through a post box in Rush Hour 2, he fucking did that because he failed it so many times. You can see the blooper reels. But yeah, I think this is an incredible movie and gets at so much of the heart of why he was such a success. Number 68, Toy Story. It's funny, sometimes people ask me, like, what is my relationship with, like, kind of Pixar and what's my relationship with Disney, because I never really talk about them. And the answer is there's both Disney and Pixar movies that I absolutely love. I just don't love them as much, or no, it's not even that I don't love them as much, I just don't have that much to say about them. I just think everything that you could say about them, other people could probably say better, because I think they're a little more passionate about the things that they do right. Now, that said, I think Toy Story is one of the greatest movies of all time, without question. And a huge part of that as well is like, this was the first 3D feature-length movie, and it's fucking awesome. And it's awesome, like, not just because like it looks incredible, and it still looks incredible. I think the animation on these characters is phenomenal. I think like the cinematography is phenomenal. Like these were people who weren't just like content to be like, it's 3D and that looks good. These are people who gave a shit about the craft of filmmaking and direction and how you convey information visually, and applying it all to this like brand new medium. And it really is like a Mario 64 level miracle, where like even their first try, they nailed so much about what this medium was. And the fact is, it also has just some of the most beloved and iconic characters of all time. I still laugh at Buzz Lightyear's "You are a sad, strange little man." Like, I love that line so much, and it brings me joy whenever I watch it. I think the character drama is really compelling, of Woody being left behind by this new generation, and it's easy to feel like that. Like, I still feel like that sometimes. Like, oh man, I'm just a relic of the past in like a bunch of different ways, and I feel his pain when I watch this movie, you know? So yeah, I absolutely adore it, and I think it holds up so beautifully. I still think it's the best Toy Story movie to me, and like I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with this. I have gotten really jaded with Toy Story. I just don't need to watch little guys try and get up to a high place for the 6th time. I don't think there's a bad Toy Story movie, but I've never been in love with any of them as I am with this movie. So yeah. Number 67, Stepford Wives. Okay, Stepford Wives is interesting, and I talked about this in my social anxiety horror video. This is a story about a woman who moves to a new town with her husband, and she's like independent. She's like a photographer. She like, you know, is passionate about her own art, and like she has a kid and all this kind of stuff, but she is very much her own person. And then she moves to this town where all the women act the same. They're all very just, they do everything for their husbands. They love chores. All they talk about is like different cleaning products and all this kind of stuff. And it's her trying to figure out what the fuck is happening in this small American suburb and why all the women are like this. And it gets worse and worse and worse. And like there's a really horrifying moment where it's her and her friend, and they only really have each other. They're the only people, and like they make jokes about how robotic everyone feels in this village, and how the women specifically feel in this village. And you know, it's kind of them against the world. And then she visits her friends, and her friend is wearing a big billowy dress, and her friend is talking about the perfect way to make a cup of coffee for your husband. And she's changed. She has like gone over to the other side. She has become what the people of this village are. That is my doorbell. 1 moment. When this movie came out, it was like roundly hated by everyone. This came out in the late 70s. And like feminist groups hate it. Conservative groups hate it. Everyone hated it. But I think they hated it because it was touching on something like real about assimilation and how we can kind of just be taken in by our surroundings. Now, it takes it in this super weird, like, sci-fi direction, but it's fucking beautiful. And I think, like, the last shot of this movie is so haunting and frightening because it's about, like, the erasure of self, of your own identity, of what happens when you, like, enter a clique or like a group of people, and how easy it is to get lost in that. And like, again, it's very extreme in its depiction of that, but I think it really touches on something like profoundly kind of horrifying, and I love it. I think it's a really beautiful and underrated movie. Number 66, Funny Games. We got another day ruiner here, folks. Funny Games is one of the most violent and cruel movies I've ever seen, and to just the most profound degree you can imagine. It's about a family of 3, a mother, a father, and a son, and they are in their like holiday home, I think it is, and it's, you know, it's kind of isolated. It's like a little bit cut off, and at one point during the movie, they get a knock on their door, and it's just 2 guys who also live in the neighborhood. And the guys seem nice. Like, I think they come in and they have like a cup of coffee or whatever. And then they don't leave. And then it's like gets slightly more uncomfortable as it's like, oh, could you guys please leave? And they don't leave. And then they stay. And then things escalate. I am not going to say any more about this movie than that, but if you just want to really, like, test your limits and you want to see, like, okay, how okay are you with horror? This is a perfect movie for that. If you are wondering if you should watch this movie, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I remember when I watched this movie in college, our lecturer came in without a word. He put this movie on, hit play, and just fucking stood back. And you know what? I respect that. I respect that. Number 65, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I have never seen the original of this, my apologies, but I really, really, really love the David Fincher version of the original. A big part of that is just, it's vibes. It's vibes again. The atmosphere of this movie, the kind of snow-swept, bleak kind of... I gotta watch this movie again, because it's a great winter movie, and it's kind of visceral and fun, and I love the girl from this so much. I started wearing, like, boots because of this girl, because her personal style was that fucking cool. And I also kind of, like, convinced myself that I have, like, a photographic memory for, like, a week. Where, you know, like, there's this bit where someone's trying to explain something to her and she's like, no, I've got it. I, like, did that. Someone was, like, trying to explain something to me and I was like, I got it. Because I thought I was like this girl. And, I didn't got it. I don't have a photographic memory. That was silly. I still wear boots sometimes, and I still like to wear them in the style that this girl wears boots because she looks so fucking cool. But it's an incredible movie. I think there's a quote from it that I really, really love, and I can't remember if I left this quote in the social anxiety horror video, but it's basically two guys where something's up and one of them knows the other is dangerous, but the other's trying to convince him that he's not dangerous, but it's not, like, overt. And he kind of has this line where, like, eventually he convinces the guy to come into his house and have a glass of wine. And they're both sipping wine. And I think he says to him, and it's been a while since I've seen this, so I think I'm butchering this a little bit. He says, "It's incredible how people will risk their lives because they don't want to appear be rude," or something like that. And it's like, fuck. Yeah, that does happen, doesn't it? And but, like, there's just a lot to like about this movie. It's extremely fun. It's very dark, and so when I say fun, I mean in the darkest possible sense, but it's great. And fun fact about this movie, when I first saw it, my uncle was in town, and my uncle has he has some, like, intellectual disabilities, but one thing he really loves is, like, movies, and so I always have tried to kind of connect with him on movies, because I feel like you know, people don't often try and connect with him on the shit he loves, and it's complicated, but I still send them movies every year. I pick out, like, the best 3 action movies of the year, and I'll send them to them as a Christmas present. But I was taking them to the movies, and I was like, oh, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that's meant to be good. There's only what I can describe as a dildo scene in this movie, and I wish that I hadn't taken my uncle to see it, despite the fact that I love this movie. Yeah. Number 64, American Psycho. I mean, the American Psycho. This is the kind of movie where I could watch this movie 1,000 times. I might throw this, so, like, I have work to do after this. I might throw this movie on in the background and just let it go, and I adore it. It is a just horrifying and psychotic journey down, like, the nihilistic underworld that is corporate America, and how this one businessman sees himself and the world around him. And it is absolutely a fucking nightmare, but it's also, like, such a parody of people like this. The business card scene is so iconic, about a bunch of people comparing different business cards, and it's like the nuanced little granular detail and how they kind of rank each other. It's amazing. And then it's just that the performance of Patrick Bateman, absolutely just one of the all-time best performances there ever was. The Huey Lewis scene. I remember when this movie came out, it was kind of seen as trashy, but it is trashy. You know, it is a trashy kind of garbage, eat it up movie, but it's fucking amazing. You know, like, it's an incredible piece of kind of pastiche, campy, psycho murder art. And I love it. I really love it. I think if someone didn't like, or at least couldn't see what American Psycho is trying to do, I think I'd suspect that they're not fun at parties. Number 63, Dokusei. Dokusei is a very kind of, in a lot of ways, simple story. I think it's only like maybe 50 minutes, like it's not a long movie, and it's about the, like, it's even like, maybe it's an OVA, I can't remember, but it's about basically two dudes who are in high school and in love with each other. And look, here's what I'll say. Look, I don't want this to be too controversial, and so I'm just gonna say, like what you like. But for me, like, a lot of the time when I see like yaoi or stuff like that, I feel like it's this kind of like man-on-man romance that generally isn't really written for men. It's like written for women. I don't see a problem in that. Like, it's just like it's written for a specific audience, and the audience isn't the people that it's depicting. And it's like, look, it's not a problem. There's so much media that is made like specifically for men, and I can understand like why yaoi is like that. But yaoi also, like, it just doesn't appeal to me at all. It never has. And like, you know, in the kind of thing where, like, you know, I can kind of go for whatever. I like men, I like women, it's all good. Dokusei is kind of one of the like anime where I really felt like it was genuinely a very sincere and kind of profound look at this idea of these two dudes in high school who were in love. And I found it like nearly hard to watch in how genuinely and sincerely it depicted that, especially like with a lot of the kind of pain that comes with it. And it really, like, it blew me away when I watched it. It really did, because like I've watched stuff like, you know, Yuri on Ice and stuff like that, and really struggled to see myself in those characters or those scenarios. There was so much in Dokusei where it's like, fuck, man, yep, that's what it is. That is what it is to have confusing feelings and to not know where those feelings go. And I thought it was just beautiful movie. Again, not shit talking the concept of yaoi. I just think that, like, if you're a dude into dudes, this is kind of I think this is just a more kind of relatable version of that. Number 62, Jojo Rabbit. Look, there's a moment in this movie where a little boy screams "fuck off Hitler" and boots Hitler out a window. It's an incredible movie. It's set during World War II, and specifically like Germany during World War II. And this little lad is part of the Hitler Youth movement, and he loves Hitler. He absolutely adores Hitler, and Hitler is his imaginary best friend, played by Taika Waititi, and the movie is a joy. And it's about him coming to understand that maybe Hitler was a fucking asshole, and it's about him understanding that, like, you know, okay, fascist Germany maybe isn't so good. And there's so many phenomenal performances in this from the little boy, but also the little boy's friends, from Scarlett Johansson, from the, like, captain of the Nazis, who's kind of like, you know, he's a captain, but he also knows this shit is wrong, and it's amazing. It's amazing. One of the funniest movies on this list as well. I fucking adore this movie so much. There's a line from it, I'm not even going to give away the context, but it's just, "It seems I can't die," is... I lose my mind at so many points in this movie. I think, like, it's a movie that will make you cry. It is a movie that will make you laugh. It is just a beautiful movie. There's a little girl in this who plays like a little Jewish girl who is being like hidden in the walls of this home. She is also incredible. She gives this amazingly just like charismatic performance, and like a part of it is that Jojo Rabbit, the little boy, becomes so captivated by her, and it's like you can see why. Like, she is so just herself and forceful, and just like she is this burning swath of little Jewish rage in this time of absolute oppression, and it's so hard not to admire her and not to be like, man, fuck, she's so cool. And it's an incredible movie. Absolutely love it. Number 61, Summer Wars. Okay, So, I have a bit of a complicated relationship with Mamoru Hosoda, the director of Summer Wars, in that I love so many films he's made. One Piece Movie 6, Digimon, this, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, all I think just phenomenal movies. And his movies fall off a steep cliff for me after that. As far as I can tell, I'm one of the only people in the world who didn't like Wolf Children. I just thought it was so overly sentimental, didn't really earn its payoffs, and just I did not enjoy it at all. And then, like, I did not give a shit about Mirai. I thought Boy and the Beast was, like, genuinely such a, like, mid-movie. Like, it wasn't interesting at all. I thought Belle was okay. I liked it. I liked the spectacle of Belle, and I thought the music was good, but, like, I didn't think it was super great. Summer Wars for me is nearly, like, the perfect point where I think it's just creative and weird enough, like the stuff he was doing before this. And then, like, if you watch what he did with, like, One Piece Movie 6, he turned One Piece into a genuinely frightening horror movie, and it fucking rules. If you watch Digimon and how fun that movie is, it's so strange, and, like, the shit he does with that is so cool. I think Girl Who Leapt Through Time is also a great movie, but I think this is the perfect, like, mix of everything Mamoru Hosoda does well. He does family stuff really well. He does, like, depictions of the internet and other realities really well, and it all gets mixed together in this absolutely, like, incredible visual representation of, like, social media in a time when social media wasn't what it is. Like, this movie's like fucking, is it 2005? No, it's a little later than that. 2009. So we were still, like, in the very early days of social media, but, like, Fortnite is basically in this movie, and, like, there's an incredible fight scene because it's like this computer virus that is fighting people through the gameplay mechanics of this fake fighting game, and it's really cool. The bunny rabbit, like, avatar from this is such, like, an iconic all-time design. It's amazing. And so, like, while I did fall off Mamoru Hosoda eventually, I still love this movie. I think this movie is such a great time, and just, like, such a high bar for, I think, what animated movie or anime movies specifically can be, which is why it bums me out that I feel like every single anime movie that comes out nowadays is Your Name again, except slightly different. Number 60, Spring Breakers. Oh, Spring Breakers. It's another vibes movie. Spring Breakers is this delirious journey into spring break. It's these 4 girls who go away on, like, this insane, like, drunken, drug-filled journey, and they become criminals, and they rob banks, and they get involved with drug dealers, and all this fucking insane stuff. And god damn, it is just phenomenal. Like, it's not an especially deep story. The story doesn't feel like it's trying to explicitly say anything to you, but it's more about how it feels. I watched this movie, I just sat there in this cinema, and the entire thing just, like, washed over me. And it was such a, like, insane experience watching all this crazy shit happen on that screen, and not a single thought entered my head for the entire runtime. It is a neon-soaked, drug-filled nightmare that is just, it feels like dying and going to some bizarre heaven. I absolutely adore this movie, and it's the kind of movie I feel like I could sit here and try and explain what's great about it, but ultimately, watch the first 2 minutes, watch that fucking scary monsters and nice sprites drop, and if that doesn't get you, turn it off, run, and if that does get you, enjoy, buddy. God bless, you are about to have a great time. Number 59, Enter the Dollhouse. Sorry, what I actually meant to say there was, welcome to the Dollhouse. I have a particular soft spot for films about adolescence, you know, and I just talked about like 13, and I think what Enter the Dollhouse is it. Okay, 13 is about getting involved in a bad crowd. Enter the Dollhouse is about being a weird fucking kid and not really knowing what to do or where to stand or anything about what your life is. And it's about, like, you know, having romantic or sexual feelings for the first time and not knowing where the fuck that goes, or just, like, all this really weird, complicated feelings. And it's all just depicted through this absolutely amazing performance from just a very awkward, like, 12, 13-year-old girl. And her just feeling so alienated from the world around her. And it sounds grim the way I'm saying it, but it's funny and it's strange and it's like kind of like, not whimsical isn't the right word, but there is like a dark laughter in how this movie depicts being a teenager. Like, it is showing you how miserable it can be while kind of nudging you in the ribs and being like, isn't this fucked up? Doesn't this suck? And I love it. There's the Bo Burnham movie 13 as well, and that movie just felt a little soft to me compared to this movie. That's another one of those movies where I feel like I'm the only person in the world who didn't like get anything out of it, but there you go. Enter the Dollhouse, just iconic, brilliant piece of like teen horror, and I love it so much. One Piece movie 6. Okay, I didn't realize that this movie was coming up, but obviously I'm a huge One Piece fan. I don't talk about it that much anymore because I just, I don't got that much to say about it other than, yep, still fucking great. One Piece movie 6 it's the One Piece movie formula. The guys find a new island, shit's weird, let's solve it. But in my opinion, it's probably the best version of that formula. It's a toss-up between this and One Piece movie X as to which is my favorite, but I think One Piece movie 6 is this incredible story of, well, maybe not incredible story, this amazing depiction and like boiling down of what One Piece is and why it's fucking cool. I really feel like this movie perfectly feels like an entire One Piece arc condensed into 90 minutes. And it's about the Straw Hat Pirates finding this fucked up island and this other pirate crew who live there, and the other pirate crew kind of love each other and get a kick out of each other as much as the Straw Hat Pirates do. And everything seems great. There's a really fun race. There's a really great cooking contest. And then shit starts to get weird. And then it starts to ask the question of like, well, what does it mean to never be able to let go of the people you care about? And you watch One Piece turn into this actually very effective horror film that like meditates on that idea. Mamoru Hosoda as well. My favorite looking movie of his, just absolutely beautiful. The designs of the Straw Hat Pirates and how gorgeous each one of them looks in this movie, absolutely incredible. And like the fact that I don't think it's even my favorite One Piece movie. It's hard. Number 57, Rope. Really simple idea from one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, Alfred Hitchcock. Two men host a dinner party. They have just murdered their friend and hidden him under the table. They have murdered him with a rope and hidden him in a box under the table because they see it as like this dark piece of performance art. One of them is really into this idea, one of them a little less so. But they're fooling everyone, no one has any idea. Until the final guest shows up at the dinner party, and this final guest starts to feel like something is a little wrong here. There's something not quite right about the way these guys are acting. And it is fucking brilliant. It is a masterpiece of tension. And like, it's not all done in one shot, but the film wants you to believe that it's all done in one shot. You know, like the film is trying to create the illusion that that's what's happening. And a lot of the times with like, oh, it's all done in one shot, I feel like that can so often just be a thing for fucking film bros to talk about in Paul Anderson movies, you know? And I think it's very rare that I see it used like effectively. And what I think like a single shot sequence can do is trap you in it and never give it any release, never give you any relief from the situation. This does that so beautifully. It's an old black and white movie. It's like 60 minutes. If you give a shit about movies, just go watch this movie, and also go check out Birds and Psycho as well. Also just incredible movies from this era and like this style of filmmaking, this director. Oh damn, number 56, Superman 2025. I deeply, profoundly love this movie, and I think there's a couple of different reasons for that, but one of the like, I guess, more academic reasons is I'm not a Superman person. I don't really give a shit about Superman. I have never understood the appeal of Superman. until this movie. People had said to me before, oh, the appeal of Superman is he's like the ideal version of us. You know, he's like, he is this person who is just good and is just hopeful. Fucking boring, you fucking nerd, is what I thought until I saw this movie. And I was literally Danny DeVito at the end of that episode of Always Sunny, where I was just like, I get it. And, you know, a part of it is that, like, I would say the last year, 2 years, you know, they haven't been the easiest years for me. This year has been a lot better, but the year before that was very, very difficult, and there's a lot of things that's just happened, like, in my personal life and globally that just make me feel like, man, the world is a dark place and people hate empathy. Like, not that just people aren't empathetic, but, like, there is, like, there is a nihilism that has taken hold of people, that there's an irony poisoning. You know, that, like, no one wants to be sincere anymore. No one wants to be earnest. They just want to view the world through this fucking deeply cynical and nihilistic lens. And, like, I'll say it, I think that's a fucking pathetic, lazy-ass way to be. Like, it's just, it's not hard to be like, oh man, everything's shit and I don't fucking care. Fuck the world. Fuck people. Like, that's not an identity you should strive to. That is a lack of effort on your part to become something else, is how I feel about it. And I think this movie was like the most positive possible reinforcement of that belief that, no, like, empathy is so much better than nihilism. You know what I mean? Empathy is so much more important than fucking being cool or be just whatever, you know? And it profoundly hit me in that. And, you know, like, empathy is punk rock line. I get, like, that line is fucking corny. Superman is a fucking cornball in this movie. It hit me. Like, I looked at Michelle during that, after that line. I kind of just went, and she just goes, oh dear. And she knows how hard that movie hit me. And, like, you know, I think in a way, like, even with my own videos and stuff, like, people call me fucking corny all the time. People say I'm overly dramatic and blah, 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 and whatever. And, like, look, they're not wrong. Like, I am very dramatic. I am very emotional. That's kind of just who I am. But in a weird way, I felt like this movie was kind of looking at me and being like, you are like that, and that's okay. And that meant a lot. You know, that really meant a lot. And it hit me at exactly the right time. And so I will always kind of profoundly love this movie for that, you know? So yeah, number 56, Superman 2025. Number 55, another man movie. It's A Serious Man. Oh, I adore this movie. A Serious Man is a Coen Brothers movie about a... It's such a strange movie. It's about a college lecturer, and he his life is slowly falling apart, and it is him trying to survive this kind of mundane but awful reality. Like, at one point, his wife very matter-of-factly explains that she's leaving him for Cy Abelman. And Cy Abelman is this very just nice, happy man. And he's like, oh, are you all right about this? And it's like, he doesn't, the man in question doesn't really have the spine to get angry about it. And it's about him just going through life and encountering all these weird fucking scenarios and not understanding what his life is. And it's also about karma, because at one point he's faced with a dilemma about, like, basically a film student comes up to him and is like, why did you flunk my test? And he's like, because you didn't show your work. Slowly, all this weird pressure gets put on him to pass this student, and it's so strange and bizarre. It's a nightmare of mundanity. It is like the anxiety of living in the everyday life and not knowing what the fuck that even is anymore. And it's so funny, it's so creative. It's Coen Brothers, so it's also a beautifully shot movie, and I adore it. A Serious Man. Number 54, One Piece Movie X. Okay, I feel like when you're making a shonen anime movie, there's a really specific way to do it, and that is to introduce a new villain. A lot of the time, I don't think it really works, because what that means is building up and tearing down a entire villain over the course of a single movie in a shonen format. You know, a lot of the times, like, the final war with that villain doesn't really feel earned, because Whereas normally we would have like chapters and chapters and chapters to build up to this big climax and then break it down and expose a weakness. I feel like a lot of the times it feels rushed. One Piece Movie X is the best version of that I have ever seen. And not only is it an absolutely phenomenal looking movie, I might even say I like how this movie looks better than One Piece Movie 6. It's really, really difficult. One Piece Movie 6 has like an elegance to it. There's like a beauty in the way that the characters are drawn. One Piece Movie X has like an excess. All the characters are just, they are swathed in detail and like these massive crazy outfits, and it looks so fucking cool. But the star of this movie to me is like the villain. He is this Navy officer betrayed by the Navy and like doing what he can for his crew and like trying to get revenge for them and trying to like he's this person who's had his worldview shattered and is angry and taking vengeance because of that. And it's kind of like this hopeless stand this person has against the rest of the world for his own beliefs. And the way, like, the final scene of this movie, it genuinely makes me fucking cry. Like, it really does. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous depiction of this person standing up for what they believe in this, like, hopeless scenario. And the movie is funny, and the movie is silly, and the movie has so much other shit going for it. But that final scene hits me so hard, and it's just an incredible, incredible version of that kind of shonen movie. I realized Fox pointed out that I keep calling this One Piece Movie X. It is One Piece Movie Z, and the bad guy is called Z. I love Z. He is very good. Oh, 53, but I'm a cheerleader. Oh my god, you want to talk about movies that will fucking just annihilate me? I Am a Cheerleader is a very colorful, very pastel movie about conversion therapy. It's about a bunch of gay kids being sent to this camp where they pray the gay away kind of thing. And it is so just silly and bubblegum and absurd and just like a really fun, strange movie. But as you're watching it, it's like the colors start to bleed out of it like halfway through the movie, and all of a sudden the scenes become way more like swathed in shadow and desaturated and moody, as like the reality of like what we are trying to do with these kids gets kind of pushed to the forefront. And it's horrible, and it's like, it's so sad, but then it's like it's intercut with the tenderness of these kids finding love in each other and like realizing that this is who they are and this is what they're about. And there's a scene towards the end of it that like just made me fucking cry. And like I'm not actually much of a crier. I don't really cry during movies a lot. Of course there's going to be a couple of movies on this list that make me do, but these are literally my favorite movies of all time. But yeah, there was a scene right at the end that just fucking broke me. And this is gonna sound weird considering the name of this movie. It's the cheerleader scene. It's the final cheer. Oh my god, it's just, oh, love's alright. You know, love's pretty cool. And I fucking, if you want to see like just a really amazingly beautiful gay movie, or if you're a lady who is into ladies especially, god damn, this is such a phenomenal movie, and I adore it so much, and my love for it only continues to grow. Number 52, The Grand Budapest Hotel. I have a mixed relationship with Wes Anderson. Sometimes his movies hit, sometimes they do not for me. I love The Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I love this movie. The Grand Budapest Hotel is just this kind of absurd caper about a bunch of weird shit happening in this hotel. It is absolutely beautiful. There is like a new absurd and amazing character every 30 seconds. Well, maybe every like 4 minutes. But it's incredible. The dialogue is great. It is one of the most beautifully shot movies I've ever seen. I have a love of hotels. I think hotels are these fascinating, liminal, transient spaces. And it is raining like fucking cats and dogs out there. I hope that is not bothering people too much if they're picking it up. And this is one of my favorite hotels in a movie. The character of the hotel is a character in itself. Like it is just a gorgeous, gorgeous movie. It's one of those movies where I could happily just throw it on in the background and just soak it up. You know, I fucking love it. It is a beautiful, beautiful piece of cinema. Number 51. Oh. Grave of the Fireflies. There's a really popular, like, kind of saying that anti-war movies don't exist because any war movie is going to inherently play up the glory of war merely by trying to depict what it is. And Grave of the Fireflies is the proof that that saying is bullshit. Grave of the Fireflies very simply does one thing. It shows the impact of war on two children. And these are two children who have no parents, have nowhere to go, and have no other options, and are slowly starving to death. And it is that through the lens of Studio Ghibli, and the result is one of the most harrowing movies ever created. I still have not watched this movie again from the first time I watched it, and that's because parts of it still feel so visceral and real to me. There's moments of joy in it. There's moments of beauty because it is about these two characters who really love each other, but it's about how that connection cannot survive in war, and it's harrowing. It is absolutely devastating and such an important movie. I think everyone should be fucking forced to watch this movie. And yeah, it's just, it's nearly difficult to get excited about because the things it depicts are so grim. And yet it is a movie worth getting excited about because this is what art can do. Art can fucking make you actually think about experiences and how there are things in our reality that should just never be. Ever. You know? And I think that's important. Number 50, Midsommar. So when I saw Midsommar, I went to see it by myself in the cinema, and it was like, the cinema screen was like nearly empty, but sitting like a couple of seats like that way of me was a girl, and she was also there by herself. And during the course of the movie, I feel like we kind of looked at each other a couple of times and were like, what the fuck? Oh my god. And like, and then I left the cinema without ever speaking to her, and she is one of the best friends I've ever had. Never saw her again. I love this movie. This, I think, is like the perfect follow-up to Hereditary, where it's like still that same just fucking horrible anxiety horror, but communicated in this totally different way. And if you have not seen this movie or know anything about it, it is about a group of American tourists going to this kind of very European-style religious festival where everyone is kind of worshipping like the old religions, like the old kind of druids. There's a real like devotion to nature and all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of a story about the Americans slowly kind of fucking up and making all these like weird faux pas and stuff. And it just gets worse. It's also a story about maybe having a shitty boyfriend and moving beyond that. And I love so much about this movie. I love horror films that can create horror in daylight, and nearly all the most horrifying moments of Midsommar happen out in the open in front of crowds of people. And like, I don't think I talked about Midsommar in my social anxiety horror movie. It is absolutely, in my social anxiety horror video, it is absolutely one of those movies. This is about coming to a strange place and feeling like you don't fit in, or maybe feeling like you fit in a little too much. It kind of walks like both those lines, and to really beautiful effect. And I think the starring moment of this entire movie is the sledgehammer scene. And if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think that was the moment to me that cemented this movie as like one of the all-time horror goats, in that it made me feel a different kind of terror and revulsion and fear, because it wasn't just that something awful was happening, it was how different people were reacting to what was happening. It was about the social norms of this community being so different to our social norms, and what that kind of said about like us. But then you also think about what's happening in that scene, and it's like, there is a mercy to it. You know, there is a sense that we let people get very old, and maybe this isn't the specific way to deal with that problem, But if someone is in a lot of pain, maybe this is and they want this. Maybe that's the look. That's a whole other conversation. I feel like that wandered into me advocating for killing old people. That's not what I'm doing. I just think that people should have options when they get old, and their life dependency and quality is not great. That's all I mean. Oh my god. Number 49. I saw the TV Glow. Okay, I saw the TV Glow. You want to talk about weird singular horror movies? I saw the TV Glow as one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I mean, obviously it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's on this list. But this is a story about a young kid, and he kind of like develops this like friendship / infatuation with this older girl. She shows him this really weird old TV show, and the two of them kind of bond through that. And then it is about sort of what happens that relationship over time and what it means. And I think like there is so much about this movie that is so like powerful. If you've ever fallen into like a specific fandom with a friend, whether it be like wrestling or fan fiction or Kingdom Hearts or Undertale, if you ever had someone where it's like you both love this thing so much and connect through that, this is a fucking phenomenal film in capturing that feeling in this like really powerful way. But then, like, it pushes it further than that, because, like, this fictional show becomes this space for both these characters to kind of experiment with, like, gender and, like, how they express themselves. And one character kind of goes all in, and the other character is more reluctant. And it brings it all to this place about how authentic are you going to be to the things in your life that are important. And I would say, like, it takes a little bit of work to get there. This isn't exactly like a simple movie. Like, it's not straightforward. It doesn't have a straightforward plot or story. And I could see some people coming out of this being like, what the fuck was that about? And with that, like, I still think it's an incredible vibes movie. The person who directed this movie previously directed We're All Going to the World's Fair, which is nearly 100% vibes with one really horrifying scene. And this is definitely more approachable than that, but it's still not like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 conclusion. It's very much like a kind of atmosphere mood piece. But that said, if you understand the horror of the final scene, it is terrifying. It is so bleak and crushing and just really, really fucking awful. And I love this movie so much. This is one of those movies that I can't wait to rewatch it with like different friends, and I can't wait to show it with different people, because I really think like it is such a weird, specific, and beautiful movie. Number 48, Battle Royale. There's a lot of discourse right now about whether the Hunger Games actually ripped off Battle Royale or not. To me, those two ideas on a broad level are so singular that you can't ever be sure that someone, like, the fact that two ideas exist doesn't mean that one ripped off another. Your Movie Sucks has an amazing video about plagiarism and how confusing and weird plagiarism is and how hard it is to actually identify plagiarism. I don't know, but even regardless of that, I think that it's important people give props to Battle Royale for being a absolutely just fucking cornerstone of pop culture. This is the original, like, I think it's 40 students are dropped on an island. Each one of them is given a random weapon, and they must, like, murder each other in order to for there only to be one survivor who then gets set free and becomes like a national celebrity. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the Hunger Games. I think a lot of its storytelling is really overly raw and sentimental. I think it really hammers home its like themes with zero subtext. And I think personally Battle Royale for me is a much more powerful, visceral look at what it would look like if you dropped a bunch of teenagers on an island for them to kill each other. I know some people love the Hunger Games. It's just not my thing. If you're expecting Hunger Games to show up later on this list, buddy, I got some bad news. But I love this. I love the performances of so many of the actors in this. There's just every single one of them has such a unique kind of energy and panic to them. The principal is incredible. The woman who gives the tutorial video is incredible. It's just a fucking iconic, cool looking movie, and there's so many amazing moments from it. Like, it's not that long, and the amount that they squeeze into it is absolutely incredible. Its sequels get really wacky, and I kind of want to talk about that in a regular video at some point. But yeah, if you have not seen Battle Royale and you care about cinema or just pop culture, this game is Fortnite. This game is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. You know, this game, or this movie is like such a cornerstone of what pop culture would become, and I absolutely adore it. I love this film so much. Number 47, Pulp Fiction. Okay, look, I have an old weakness for Quentin Tarantino. I like a lot of his movies. I like the way he makes movies. I like his dialogue. Is he the perfect director? Is he completely unproblematic? Probably not. Probably not. But I really do love some of his movies, and I loved Pulp Fiction especially. Pulp Fiction came into my life when I was about 17, when I was really at the point where I was starting to understand what I loved in art, and was starting to understand that like art was not just like the films that they play on RTE, that's like the National Irish Broadcasting Channel. It was so much more than that, and there was so much weirder, deeper stuff out there. And I know it's like the idea of saying Pulp Fiction as that now, when it's like one of the most mainstream films you could ever talk about, I get it. But this was a film without a protagonist. You know, this was a film that without a traditional structure. It did not have Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. It was its own weird journey through this world of like violence and criminals, and it was fucking cool. You know, like the scene where they're just talking about milkshakes and burgers for like 5 minutes. It wasn't exposition. It wasn't moving the story forward, but you were spending time with these characters. And you know, like when I think about Eyepatch Wolves, like I always want to try and take time in Eyepatch Wolves and show people what these characters are when they're not beating the shit out of each other. It's the old piece of Akuma official art where he's selling apples to a fucking kid. You know, it's like, I love that this movie takes the time to show you what these characters are in their downtime, and so then when shit kicks off, it really feels so much more intense and insane. And I mean, like, is there a more iconic role than Samuel L. Jackson in this movie? He is absolutely fucking brilliant. Oh my god, the white person next to Samuel L. Jackson. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. Fox, you can put it on the screen and call me an idiot. It's that John Travolta. John Travolta. He is the perfect like balance to Samuel L. Jackson. Real red oni, blue oni thing going on there, and it's a beautifully shot film. It's wonderfully weird. I absolutely adore it, and I should watch it again soon. Number 48, Home Alone. The original Home Alone is just kind of a masterpiece of family movies. It is absolutely beautiful. It is hilarious. Kevin McAllister, played by Macaulay Culkin, is amazing. I heard that perhaps he might have been a little bit of a shit on set. Look, I feel like we do this thing where we take young actors, and when I say young, I'm talking anywhere between like the age of, I don't know, like 10, because they should not be acting before that, 10 and like 18, right? And we give them all these acting lessons, and we put them through these intense like ordeals where they have to like make films, and a film is a very hard thing for an adult to do, not mind the fucking child. And then we make them famous, and then they start acting weird, and we start being like, look at them, they're being weird. We made them that way. I'm just saying, we made them that way. I feel bad for Jenna Ortega. I hope we don't fuck her up too much. I hope that just... Home Alone is a good movie. Okay, Home Alone is one of my favorite Christmas movies. I really love Christmas movies. I love them so much, and I especially love like the aesthetic of a Christmas movie. I think you can have a Christmas movie that doesn't feel especially Christmassy. This is a movie that absolutely captures so much of the look and vibe of Christmas in a way that, even if it wasn't super funny or like insanely violent or just really charming, it would still be all that. But it is, and it's this amazing fantasy of What would you do as a child if you were left completely unsupervised to your own devices and could just have fun? Which is something I think the second movie also nails, but I think this movie is just a much tighter, better movie. I think there's too much, I can't think of a better way to put this. There's too much fucking hoo-ha in the second movie, even though it's still an amazing Christmas movie. This is the one that nailed it, and it's iconic for that reason. Speaking for being iconic for doing a specific thing and doing it well, we got number 45, Scream. If you ask me what I think is the greatest slasher movie of all time, it's going to be a toss-up between this and the original Halloween. I adore both those movies, and I think Scream was a real turning point in mainstream cinema, because it was the moment when I feel like a lot of mainstream like cinematic movies started kind of thinking about what they were and commenting on it. You know, Scream is a love letter to slasher movies, while also itself being an incredible slasher movie. Like, I don't think there is a more iconic scene in slasher movies than the first 9 minutes of Scream. It is absolutely fucking beautiful, and like, I think sometimes we forget as well, like, the main girl in the start of this movie, God, what is her name? I can't remember. I am terrible with actors' names, apologies. But she was like a huge actor at the time. No one knew she was going to die in the first 9 minutes. People thought like she was the poster girl, she was the star, and she dies. And that's incredible, because what it says is like anyone can die in this movie. And then like it's so beautifully paced. There's not like a single second of dead air. It's full of like weird and fun characters all the way through. And then it has one of the best killer reveals of all time in any piece of cinema, you know? Now, okay, when I say it's the best slasher movie, I have not watched that much like Italian giallo movies. There is probably some amazing shit there that I don't know about, so just to qualify that. But yeah, I think Scream is incredible. It helps that I guess like it's Michelle's like favorite or one of her favorite movies, and so like I love watching it with her. I've never really connected with a Scream movie after this. I've seen like 5 of them and I just never think they're that good, but I love this original movie. Number 44. Speaking of all-time greats, is there a better sci-fi horror than Alien? Alien is so fucking god tier a movie. I think sometimes we forget like how old Alien is. Alien is like, actually let me check this. Alien is 1979. That is so fucking old. And what's crazy about that is that it doesn't feel that old. You know, like there's other movies from around that time, like say The Shining, and I think The Shining feels very old. That doesn't take away from it at all. In fact, I think it kind of adds to the quality. When I watch Alien, I feel like, except for a few little things, I feel like that's a movie that could come out today and still be incredible. It is so shocking, it is so visceral, and it's just this absolutely beautiful exploration of like, you are isolated with something that you don't understand, and it's very dangerous. And like the xenomorph is okay, here's what I'd say. The xenomorph is unquestionably the greatest monster in modern cinema history. In terms of like, there's other stuff you could look to, like the Wolfman or Dracula. They are old. Like, they existed. Frankenstein existed long before modern cinema. Alien didn't. The Xenomorph didn't. And, like, it is an absolutely beautiful design. Like, one of just the greatest designs ever. Like, one of the most beautiful pieces of art from H.R. Giger. But even, like, how they took Giger's original art and turned it into a physical thing. If you can, look up the guy who designed and wore the Alien suit. He was this like, young black dude just working in, like, 1970s films, which, God help him, must have been a fucking struggle. And he is, like, such an important and amazing part of cinema's history. So, like, just, yeah. But then on top of that as well, you have Ripley. You know, you have Sigourney Weaver as one of the coolest fucking characters of all time. And it is an absolutely gruesome and horrifying experience. Age does not dull this movie one single bit. It is still fantastic. It is still absolutely traumatizing in moments. And it is still, like, just an incredible load of fun, you know? And, like, Alien went places after this. Alien 2 is a classic also. It's a good movie. It's not this. Alien 2 is a very fun action sci-fi. it's not horror. Personally, I just don't see it as horror. I see it as great. Alien 3 is fucking weird and strange, and I'm glad that that movie's kind of getting its flowers now and that people are re-examining it, because I do think it's very interesting, but it's a fucking strange movie. And Alien is just so pure and incredible, and I love it. Number 43, Seven. Another weakness I have is I really love David Fincher movies. I think David Fincher is able to create movies with a look and a vibe, and it's just, I get so sucked into those worlds whenever I watch it. And Seven, it's not my favorite, but goddamn, it's close. Seven is a story about a serial killer working his way, I think, across New York. I could be wrong about that. And he is performing 7 murders in accordance with 7 sins. He is being pursued by Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, and everyone in this movie is killing it all the time. Fuck, man. I haven't talked about Seven since Kevin Spacey was revealed not to be a great dude. Kevin Spacey is amazing in this. Kind of sucks as a person. Kind of a fucking weird-ass person. That Allow Me to Be Frank video was just bizarre. And I don't know. People are so like, let him off. It doesn't matter. But it's like, be a young dude and work on a film set with him and then tell me that, you know? Getting sidetracked. Seven is an incredible movie. I absolutely love this movie. I think the way it portrays like the filth of the city and the way that it makes you kind of see things from the serial killer's perspective. At least it does me a little bit. I don't agree with anything he says, but it's kind of like, I see where he is coming from. I see why he is so frustrated at modern society. And I think the movie does just an amazing job in like portraying that. There is weird shit with this movie. Like, I think it delves in some cliches that I don't love. But it is a movie trying to shock you. It is a movie trying to tell you that the world is not all right and that there are horrifying, violent things out there in it. And I think it's an incredible movie that, like, for capturing that. And it's not going to be to everyone's taste, but I absolutely adore it. Number 42. This is a little bit of a cheat, but I think number 42 is a trilogy, and it is my favorite trilogy of movies. It is the Berserk trilogy. And I know feelings on these films are mixed, but here it is for me, right? I went into these movies, I saw a double feature of the first and second Berserk movie. I went with my friend Sam. I had no idea what Berserk was. I didn't know it, and I sat through this double feature, and by the end of the second movie, I was like, oh, Berserk is one of my favorite things of all time. And these movies conveyed that story well enough to take me there. And despite the fact that I would later read the manga, and like, no, these movies do not hold up to the manga, neither does the 90s anime. Nothing holds up to the manga. The manga is my singular favorite piece of media in existence, you know? But these movies were the gateway into that, and I will love them always for that. And I also think, like, I think these movies are beautiful. Is there, like, janky 3D? Yes, there is. But, like, I think their depiction of the eclipse is appropriately horrifying. I think there's a tenderness to these movies that I really love about them, you know? Like, I think there's moments that they really capture very well and just very beautifully, and I'm just very, very glad they exist. And ultimately, they brought me to Berserk. They were good enough to do that, and I will forever love them for that reason. Number 41. All My Friends Hate Me. If you want a detailed breakdown of why I love this movie, the social anxiety horror video is about... This is the movie it's built around. I love this movie. I think it so brilliantly captures that idea of social anxiety horror. It captures that idea of what happens when you show up to your friends and they're all acting a bit strange about you. It's about this dude where he goes to for his 30th birthday. He's like taking this like secluded getaway in this mansion with his friends, and they're just not acting quite right. And something's a little wrong, and something's a little fucked up. And it's such a funny movie, but it's so uncomfortable. It is really uncomfortable and just devastating. Like, it's devastating. There's moments in this movie where I feel like it reaches down inside me, grabs my specific fears, and just squeezes them. And oh my god, I love it. I love it. I think that, and it's interesting, right? Because when I first watched the climax of this movie and had the big reveal, I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. Okay. I think maybe I thought we were doing something different. And I was kind of disappointed because I feel like the film kind of subverted my expectations. When I went back and watched it a second time and knew that that's where we were going, it hit so much harder because I could see how the film was building to that moment. And I think, like, I was disappointed that maybe things didn't kick off in a certain way, but I think that's just, like, that's kind of on me because I shouldn't have gone in with that expectation, you know? And it's an incredible movie that gets better every time I watch it. I might give it a rewatch again over Christmas because it's also an incredible vibes movie. The house they're staying in is beautiful, and it's just it's an amazing movie. I keep wanting to say this is one of my favorite movies of all time. We are approaching the top 40. These are all my favorite movies of all time. Number 40. Speak No Evil, another social anxiety horror movie video. So this movie got an American remake a couple of years ago that I still have not had the heart to watch. Fox told me some shit about the remake that turned my blood cold, but not for the reasons this movie turns my blood cold. If this is this is another day ruiner movie. Don't watch this movie on like a first date. Don't watch this movie with, say, a sensitive friend. This is an absolute nightmare of a movie. Of any movie I have ever watched, this is the most I feel like I am watching two characters get pulled into hell. And there is not even anything supernatural in this movie. A couple make friends with another couple on holidays. That second couple invites the first couple to spend some time with them in their secluded home, and things feel a bit weird. Things go from there. If you want a more detailed breakdown of this movie, go watch my social anxiety horror video. If you are willing to take my word on what will be one of the most disturbing and fucked up movies you have ever seen, go for it. Number 39, Fight Club. Another David Fincher movie. Listen, I was 17 years old. I saw Fight Club. Did I get the irony in it? Absolutely not. Did I absolutely love it? Yes. And that's because this is one of the coolest movies ever made. Fight Club is just oozing with style and charisma. And it's like early 2000s style and charisma, so it's kind of fucking corny, but in a way that I deeply, deeply love. Brad Pitt in this movie is like one of the hottest things I have ever seen. Like, oh my fucking god. But it's also, I think it is a really interesting examination of like male toxicity and male loneliness, you know? And I know like that's become such a meme of a expression, but like it is this interesting kind of discussion about what masculinity is in this period, and obviously things have gone a long way from that now, but it was one of the first movies kind of talking about that stuff, and kind of, I think it's one of the first movies that to me really says, I think there's something wrong with how we, what is even the word? With how we raise men. You know, I think there's something not right here. And I think it's really powerful because of that. There's also just like a lot of really beautiful fights. Like, I love the fight choreography in this, in that they're really well choreographed fights when the idea is that no one knows how to fight. So it's not a beautiful kung fu movie. It's messy and it's fucked up and it's strange. And then you see how quickly the freedom these people feel in this fights, just like it balloons outwards into this whole other insane thing. And it's such a wild, fun, and crazy film, and I absolutely love it so much. It also, again, one of the most iconic twists in a movie. I'm not going to say what it is. If by somehow you have not seen Fight Club, it's just a blast. Number 38, Aladdin. Aladdin is nearly my favorite Disney movie. This was, like, except for one other, This was the birthday party movie when I was little. I went to see Aladdin for my birthday. I went with a bunch of other kids. It was one of the best films I'd ever seen. Jasmine is my favorite Disney princess because she's still a fucking smoke show. And I loved everything about it. I loved Jafar. I loved the genie. I loved the tiger. Aladdin was fine too. But I just think it's an incredible movie with... To me, it has like the best in every Disney movie, except one other, which will be on this list, which we'll get to. But I think it still holds up wonderfully. I think it's an incredible showcase for Robin Williams. And if you look at how they did this movie, the animators they took video footage of him in the booth, like doing his genie shtick, and then animated according to that. And I think you can really feel that. And you can really feel the animators visually trying to match his energy. And it creates like one of the most beautiful and compelling characters I've ever seen. Evil Jafar, the final showdown with Jafar. So fucking sick. So awesome. I secretly kind of believe that it kind of influenced some of the ending graphics of Wind Waker, which is one of my favorite Zelda games. And yeah, I just think it's an unquestionably brilliant piece of animation, and I love it. Classic era Disney at its strongest, and I adore it. Number 37, Psycho. Okay, look, obviously there has to be a certain amount of... Movies love to just be like, isn't a man in a dress weird? And so like, there's a certain like stigma of that. Look, it's a long fucking time ago, and I think this is still an incredible movie. Another Alfred Hitchcock movie, and just absolutely nightmarish. It's so simple and beautiful. Every single part of this movie, including the fucking opening credits, is like being stabbed with an adrenaline needle. It is amazing, and I love the performance of Norman. I love the staging of the Psycho house. Maybe one of my favorite visuals in horror is just how they frame that house, the mother in the window, and it is absolutely brilliant. If you have not seen Psycho, it is about a guy running a roadside motel, and he is being visited like by different guests, some of whom are young women. Those young women he is being ordered to murder by his mother. The twist is infamous, but it's more than that. It is about how gorgeous a movie this is. I think still it is so beautiful. So there's a book on Hitchcock. Let me see if I can find it. So it's this book, Hitchcock Truffaut, I think, the definitive study of Alfred Hitchcock by Francois Truffaut. And it is, this movie goes through like every single thing that Hitchcock would do visually, and it really like gave me an appreciation of who Hitchcock is and why he was such an incredible filmmaker and how visual a filmmaker he was, you know. And so every shot in this movie, Hitchcock is trying to do something. Every single shot, he wants to make you feel a certain way, and he is going to maneuver the visuals, the actors, the scenery, the shot composition. He's going to maneuver it all to make sure that it puts you in that frame of mind. And then through it, he tells this horrifying story of this man who has just been molded by his mother in the most terrifying way. And like, I think it's about what happens when you don't let someone be themselves. When you crush them with all this like societal expectation or, you know, familial expectation in terms of what you want them to be. And it is squeezing the toothpaste tube too hard and the toothpaste exploding outward in a spray of gelatinous murder. I can't tell if what I just said was like genius or the stupidest fucking thing of all time. Number 36, Old Boy. I just love Old Boy so much. Another Park Chan-wook movie. If you count the honorable mentions, this rounds out the Vengeance trilogy, all of which make it on this list. Old Boy is one of the most simple and devastating premises for a film ever. I think it's impossible not to hear the idea for this film and not be so intrigued about what it is. A man is kidnapped. He is put in a hotel room where he stays for, I think it's 20 years. Then he is released and is given like 24 hours to find out who put him in the room and why, and he has no idea. And he's just a schmuck. He's just a regular salaryman. And things go insane from there. And I love this movie. I love it so much. I love, like, watching him age in the hotel room and slowly come to terms with the fact that, like, he is going to fucking murder whoever whoever did this to him. That is his single purpose in life now. And you're watching him train in the hotel and, like, learn to box from the television, and, like, there's all, like, he has this crazy relationship with the television where he describes it as, like, his friend and mentor and lover, because it is his only contact. Like, food is shoveled into him every now and then. He has no contact with actual people, and you see the effect that has on him. You see that man then try and re-enter society and just be a fucking lunatic, and it's an amazing movie, and, like, just one of the most devastating reveals, and it is, oh my god, it is so fucking good. I love this movie. And, like, of course it's oozing with just all the atmosphere and style of a Park Chan-wook movie. It's incredibly shot. Every scene is so thoughtful in how it's visually depicted. It has some of the most iconic shots in cinema, including eating the live octopus, although I do feel bad for the octopus. I don't think we should have done that, but look, it's still a fucking great movie, and I love it, and one of the most rewatchable movies on this list. One of the best compliments I ever got was someone in a comment said to me once that I would make a really good, like, bodyguard who stands behind the main villain, kind of going like... I can't remember who said that to me. I think it's someone who's going to watch this video, and that's the aesthetic I strive for. Maybe not in my Precious Memories t-shirt, which you can get at eyepatchholes.com. But thank you. I love this movie, and I love that bodyguard character. Oh, I love him so much. But I love the villain. I love Park Chan-wook. I love Park Chan-wook's friend. I'm just gonna say friend. This movie's insane. Number 35. Beau is Afraid. I think this is the final social anxiety horror movie on this list. I guess I just love social anxiety horror. Who knew? Again, if you want, like, a more detailed breakdown of this video, go watch social anxiety horror movie. Beau is Afraid is the most anxiety-driven movie I have ever seen in my entire life. It is an absolute hellscape of not being able to deal with the world around you. It goes weird places, and I would say that the first 30 minutes are definitely the strongest, in which Beau is just trying to survive in this oh my god, just this fucking fever dream of a city, and everyone in the city is, like, stabbing and murdering each other all the time. There's dead bodies just rotting out in the middle of the street, and he's just trying to go about his day. He's trying to go to his therapist and trying to, like, go to... There's a moment where he has to go to the shop to get change, and it is, like, the most anxiety, like, fueled trip across a road to a shop to get some, and it's fucking brilliant every second of this movie. Well, not every second, because, like, it does slow down after that, but I also think it's really enjoyable in where it goes after that, and, like, the phone calls he gets from the lawyers, and, like, there's kind of, like, 4 separate parts of this movie. It's like 4 movies put together, but when you get to the end of it and you see why it's all been structured like this, it is so incredible, and just my worst fears realized, and I love it. Beau is Afraid is how I feel uploading a YouTube video. That is what that feels like to me. Number 34. This might surprise some people. The disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya is, like, early 2000s the anime. It was so massive and so huge back then, and I feel like it's kind of disappeared from pop culture now. And, like, if you're into anime and you haven't watched it, you should totally check it out. First season's real good. I fell off on the second season. My favorite piece of Haruhi media is this movie. This is one of the most gorgeous movies I have ever seen in my life, and it's a Christmas movie, also a Christmas movie. But I think what I love about this movie is, like, I think there is actually a really beautiful message to it, which is about, listen, which do you want? Do you want a life where things are boring, or do you want a life where you are like having to deal with shit all the time but feeling alive? And that's always a message that's going to resonate with me personally, in part because my life has taken a very just weird and strange turn, and sometimes I do fantasize about fucking deleting my YouTube channel and just going and working in a job I don't care about. Like, I think about that sometimes because, like, I love YouTube. It is a torment. Like, it is a literal torment. But I love it, you know? And I think this movie is kind of about that. But it's also... There's so many scenes in this movie where it's just two characters in a room talking. And that would be such a massive criticism for me. I fucking hate when anime movies do that. Unless they can do it with, like, the most style you have ever seen, this movie does. The Monogatari series also is amazing at putting two characters in a room and making it the most compelling shit in the world purely through visuals. This movie is like that. It is so gorgeous. The lighting in these rooms, the weird camera shots they take, how subtly the characters express themselves with animations. It's like a long ass movie, but I adore it so much. I might watch it again over Christmas because it's like one of my favorite Christmas movies, and it is just fucking a phenomenally atmospheric and beautiful watch. And I say that as someone who doesn't have any real love for the Haruhi Suzumiya series. There's things about it I like. Like, I love the Rei Ayanami clone in Haruhi. I'm gonna remember her name now in a second. Oh, Yuki Nagato. I love Yuki. I think Yuki is like so funny and so weird, and just, you know, I'm always gonna enjoy an autistic coded lady. But yeah, The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, phenomenal movie. Number 30, Pinocchio. Pinocchio is a children's horror movie. That's what it is. It is a deeply, deeply disturbing movie that is pretending to be a children's movie, and I love it for that. This was my favorite movie as a child. I would watch it over and over and over. According to my mom, I have seen this movie probably 50 or 60 times, and the reason for that, it is just incredible. I think sometimes it's weird, right? Because there's some children's media that you are just drawn to, and as a kid you can't explain why. As a kid, you don't know how to say that the animation is brilliant, or that the backgrounds are really well done, or that, like, you know, it's a really creatively interesting, conceptually very strange, original piece of art. But you feel it, right? Sometimes I call it, like, for me, it's weird because when I was little, Bret Hart was my favorite wrestler. I couldn't tell you what made a good wrestling match when I was little, but I knew that I loved watching Bret Hart matches. In a way, that's how I feel about Pinocchio, because it is this, like, absolutely, like, virtuosic animated movie. This is from, like, the real old golden age of Disney. This was like the 13 Old Men. These are some of the most insane animators to ever exist. And here you are seeing them just fucking, like, flex their muscles, go Super Saiyan, and prove animation as a legitimate art form. Like, Pinocchio was the first, like, animated feature-length movie. I bet there's a qualifier for that somewhere. I bet there's something you could point to and be like, this was an earlier one, but this was the first blockbuster. This was the first time animation stood up as a medium and said, we can command mainstream attention in a way that will capture an entire generation, and they did. And, like, I mean, this film is so old. Like, this movie was made in 1940. Show me one other piece of media from 1940 that has aged like Pinocchio has, and that is to say, immaculately. I would still happily put this film on for any kid or adult nowadays and be confident that they're going to be drawn into it. If you haven't seen Pinocchio, fucking fix that. It is amazing. And if you want to know why people worship at the altar of old school Disney, this movie is it. Number 32, Up. When I first saw Up, I saw it with a friend of mine, and afterwards she asked me how much did I cry at the opening scene, and I replied, not at all, because I don't cry at movies anymore. And she was like, bullshit, you didn't cry. And she was wrong. I didn't cry. I found the rest of the movie one of the most delightful experiences I've ever had. I thought it's absolute, like, this is Pixar. This is the moment for Pixar. There's amazing Pixar movies before this. There's amazing Pixar movies after this. This is the peak. This is what I think was so special about Pixar, and I love it. And it is a story, it is an incredibly fun story about an old man trying to get over his dead wife. How the fuck did they do that? They just did. The dog from this movie with like the voice translator collar is incredible. The little Boy Scout is incredible. The old man is incredible. The bird is incredible. I watched this with my parents, and she said that me and my dad's dynamic is like the old man and the bird, and she is dead right. I absolutely adored it, but I bring up that anecdote from earlier because the first time I did show it to my friend, the first time I watched it with my parents was about 6 months after it came out, and I was at home for Christmas and I was watching it with them, and that first 10 minutes hit and she trips on the hill and tears just started streaming down my face. It broke through whatever that barrier was where like I wasn't crying at movies, and it actually broke through that and made me feel so much in that moment, and I will forever love it for that. It is an incredible, incredible movie, and one of the greatest animation studios in the history of the world at their absolute peak, and I adore it so much for that. I feel like those days are gone now. Like, I feel like Pixar's had a lot of misses for me since this movie, but this movie will always cement this era of Pixar as just a golden time for animation. But yeah. Number 31, Dead Leaves. Dead Leaves is from Imoishi, and he is one of the most legendary anime directors of all time. If Eyepatch Wolves was an animation, I would want it to be in Imaishi's exact style, because he's probably my favorite animator. He's probably, yeah. This movie is a production IG movie directed by him, and it is the most Imaishi shit you have ever seen. Like, this is the same guy who would go on to, you know, be behind stuff like Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill, all that kind of stuff, and this is him in his most early 2000s, raw and unrestrained. And it is a film about two characters who basically wake up in prison and need to fight their way out of it. It's like 50, it's not even a long movie. I don't think it's even an hour, and it's just the most dense hour of fucking insanity that you have ever seen, and it looks so wild and crazy, and just, it is, like, if you want a film to just take you on a journey and fill your mind with nonsense for like an hour, this is that movie. It is absolutely unlike anything else you will ever see, and I completely adore it. Like, this movie is like a cornerstone of it was so fundamental in establishing with me the kind of art I like and the kind of aesthetic I like, because everything is so sharp and weird and stylized, but not like overly detailed, not overly cute, and it is just like this strange piece of early 2000s anime edge, and I really, really adore it. And there's only one movie that I think Dead Leaves, and it is number 30, Redline. Redline is, I don't give a shit about racing. Redline is like the greatest racing movie of all time. It is absolutely a phenomenally beautiful movie, and it's a shame because like think about Redline is one of the last times I really saw anime cinema take a swing on something truly insane. It is this story about Sweet JP, this racer whose like dad, I don't know, maybe it wasn't his dad. It was this racer who has always felt like compelled to be in this insane Redline race. And like, I can say that. You need to see this movie to understand what it is. Like, you can see some of the visuals here, and it is just one of the most incredible looking movies I've ever seen. Absolutely drove its animators to the brink of madness, but it also, like, it's insane, right? Because, like, it is this, like, personal story to JP, But then when you zoom out from that, there's all these other racers, all of whom are characters as well, and the red line being this race means different things to them. But then you zoom out as well, and the red line is also somehow at the center of this massive global conflict. And like, it encapsulates so much, and it feels like such an epic, massive story, but it doesn't feel bogged down. There's no like dead air. There's no point where like you're waiting for it to like get back to the action. It is so good. Cherry Boy Hunter. I just challenge anyone of any sexual orientation not to have a crush on Cherry Boy Hunter in this movie. She is just the coolest fucking character. And like, you know, in the final stretch, like, there's like weapons of mass destruction being activated. There's kaijus coming to life and ripping apart the race course. There's fucking time dilation happening, and it is just one of the most insane movies. Like, Redline is the kind of movie that makes me feel like there is a different species of human that exists on Earth, capable of conveying things that the rest of us can only dream of. And I adore it. It is a testament to Japanese animation and how weird and just the different sensibilities they developed from the rest of the world, and how powerful that can be when you nail it in this absolutely beautiful production. And the mark that we as a species maybe have gone wrong is the fact that this movie did not do well in the box office and was outperformed in Japan by Jim Carrey's CG Night Before Christmas. I say that as someone who likes Jim Carrey, but holy... Number 29, The Crow. I saw The Crow this year, and it immediately became one of my favorite movies of all time. And I say that because I know if I had seen this film as a teenager, it would have changed my life. I would say I'm like a good 60-70% goth coded, especially like if I do makeup or like my nails or whatever. I'm like, this would have pushed me into 80 or 90, and I to this day don't know if that would have been a good or a bad thing. This movie is absolute late 90s cheese. It is ridiculous. It is silly. It is so fun. It is so much fun, and every second of it is like there's the bit that I love so much where, if you've seen the Crow makeup, if you've seen me do the Crow makeup, it's like there's a moment where someone's like, "Are you some kind of clown?" And he just goes, "Sometimes." That is I don't know I can verbally express to you, as a sad little weirdo, what a moment like that means to me. But then, like, it's a fucking phenomenal action movie. It has some of the hottest actors you will ever see in any movie. No matter what you're into, there is going to be some insanely beautiful person. The bad guy is called Top Dollar. Okay, it's that kind of thing where, you know, The Crow, there's a bad guy surrounded by his lieutenants, each of whom he has to kill. He works his way through them in wonderfully imaginative and weird action scenes, and it's to me, this is like the first real comic book movie that was like, well, no, that's not true, but like it's just a beautiful movie that speaks to me so specifically. You guys have heard me talk about how much I love like edge and how much I love dark, weird shit, even when it's corny. In fact, especially when it's corny, this movie just nails that sensibility so perfectly, and I adore it. I am overdue for a rewatch, and I cannot wait. Number 28, The Wrestler. Professional bummer filmmaker Darren Aronofsky makes a bummer film, and it fucking rules. Obviously, like, The Wrestler is a film that touches on wrestling, which is something that I love so deeply, but I think it's also a movie that really, like, profoundly understands wrestling and understands what it is, not even as a form of entertainment, but to the people who wrestle, to the people who make it. It captures like their inability often to leave behind the world of wrestling, you know? Like, there's a thing in wrestling, wrestlers never retire. They just get old, and there's been, like, when you look at so many wrestlers, like say Ric Flair, they've never been able to let go of that pop they get when they hit the crowd. They've never been able to let go of the joy of telling a story in front of hundreds of thousands of people, you know? And I think this film, it captures that so beautifully for this person who, like, can't let go. He just cannot let go of what he used to be. And it is this absolutely devastating look at that and, like, how it tears apart his personal life. And it's all held together by this incredible performance from Mickey Rourke, whose own life had kind of gone to shit at that point when he made this, you know? Like, this was a weird pick at the time because Mickey Rourke was this, like, action star who had kind of fallen out of favor. And it's one of the best examples of, like, old mainstream star goes and does something weird and it benefits them so much. And I love it. I love this movie. It makes me cry at like 3 different points, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful movie. And obviously, like, anything past this point is going to be getting my highest recommendation. Like, my answer, if you should watch any of these movies, is abso-fucking-lutely. But obviously, if you don't care about wrestling, you should still watch The Wrestler. Beautiful, beautiful movie. Number 27, Halloween. This is it. This is the slasher movie. This is the Street Fighter 2 of slasher movies. This is the moment where slasher movies started to be a thing on a wider level outside Italian giallo movies. And it is it's the Mario 64 effect. You know, it is the bizarre, near perfect first iteration, and I still find it a deeply frightening movie. I think I said it before, but I think it's the appeal of a slasher movie is something coming from outside your life, coming into it and destroying it. And that's what Michael Myers is in this movie. He is an unthinking, unfeeling engine of destruction, and it is so pure and violent in his depiction of what he is. And, like, the physical acting of Michael Myers just makes it so incredible. Michael Myers is the opposite to Terrifier. Michael Myers feels nothing. He just has this silent, curious compulsion to murder, and watching that murder be inflicted on this group of teenagers, like, to me, it doesn't feel schlocky. It doesn't feel Hollywoody. It just feels violent, and it's incredible. It's still incredible. And obviously, like, there's so many, like, wonderful camera shots, and, like, the way they communicate what he is just, it's so beautifully done. It is one of the most well-aged horror films of all time. If you have even the slightest fondness for horror and have not seen this movie, please go fix that. Number 26, Trainspotting. Trainspotting, it is a film that made me fall in love with English rave and drug culture. And I don't necessarily have an affinity for any one of those things outside this movie. I love this movie. I think this is a really incredible... This was one of those formative movies for me where it was a film that was introduced to me by, like, an edgy friend, and it made me understand that there was a different kind of movie out there. This is not a movie about good people. This is not a movie about people's lives improving. This is a movie about a bunch of fucking fuck-ups and weirdos and, you know, people who were, like, you know, suffering from addiction, and that addiction had ruined their lives in all these different ways, and yet they were finding a kind of joy in that existence. And the film never says that that existence is good, but I think it does show you how someone can kind of get drawn into this life and get soaked up by this world. And it's incredible. It has one of the best atmospheres and vibes of any movie on this list. And I think it makes you feel like you've just been through a fucked up night out. This movie makes me feel like I did a bunch of drugs with a bunch of friends and got really wasted and woke up the next day not quite sure what was happening. And I kind of love it for that. You know, as insane as a recommendation that might be, it's a beautiful, beautiful movie. Speaking of beautiful, beautiful movies, number 25, Commando. I spoke earlier about my love of Arnold Schwarzenegger. This, to me, is the best Arnold Schwarzenegger movie in terms of... There's better movies, maybe. Not ones I like better, I don't think. No, there isn't. And this is the silliest movie on this list, which is really saying something. Arnold Schwarzenegger kills an entire country, is basically the story of this movie. Terrorists kidnapped his daughter, and let me tell you, they kidnapped the wrong guy's daughter, and it is just absolutely fucking brilliant in how schmaltzy and corny it is. Like, at a point, Arnold Schwarzenegger throws a pipe through a guy and goes, "Let off some steam, Bennett." This is McClane. You know the McClane from The Simpsons? This is that movie, and it is just so fun and silly, and Arnold looks amazing, and the action is so inventive and weird. At one point, Arnold kills like 50 terrorists with like basically the contents of a garden shed, and it is a film that brings immense joy to me whenever I watch it. Hello, it's back. I'm starting to think that I really regretted recording this without getting my hair cut, because I am beginning to look silly. But I'll tell you what's not silly. Our next movie, number 24, it's Barton Fink. Barton Fink is this story about a writer who moves to LA to write a story about wrestling, but the wrestling part is actually very, very minimal. And rather than staying at like a fancy hotel like his kind of producers want him to, he stays at like this rundown hotel and develops a relationship with his next door neighbor, John Goodman, and it is hellish. This is a Coen Brothers movie. It is my favorite Coen Brothers movie. It is a phenomenal look at like what it is to try and achieve something artistically when that's not what the world around you wants. It's so full of like just insane character after insane character. This is basically a visual novel where this writer goes from location to location, just talking to the most fucked up people you've ever met. And there's a line that I love John Goodman. I absolutely adore him, and he has my favorite line in this movie, and he just goes, "You come into my fucking house." And I won't give you the context. It is just a joy beginning to end. I love how much of this film is like deeply in love and also absolutely resentful of the process of writing. It's about making movies, it's about telling stories, and it's about realizing that everything's fucked and there's nothing you can do about it. And somehow it has an incredible amount of whimsy and charm with all that. It is one of the funniest, silliest movies on this list. It is one of the bleakest, darkest movies on this list, and just an absolute stone cold classic. Number 23, Tekken Kincrete. Fun fact, my least viewed video on the Super Eyepatch Wolf channel is about Tekken Kincrete, and I think it's a great video. No one ever gave a fuck. No one watched that video, and that's because I think this movie is just not widely known enough. It is a absolutely beautiful and sad and amazing movie, and I fucking adore it. It's also one of the best looking movies I have ever seen in my life. This was based on the comic book Black and White, and Black and White is a story about these two like street children, but they're somewhere between like superheroes and street children, and the film is like very fantastical, very like kind of modern urban fantasy. Imagine like imagine Earthbound set in like a massive city, and it's kind of like that. And it's about this town called Treasure Town, and Treasure Town is slowly changing. It's slowly being kind of taken over by this corporation, and it's about these two kids like fighting back against that. And just absolutely visually kind of perfect in what it's trying to do. Some of the most gorgeous backgrounds I've ever seen, which like it needs to be, because this film is about existing in this city. It's about seeing all the beautiful and insane things about it. Again, like talking about films that like influenced Eyepatch Wolves, this was a huge one. There's so much in this that I kind of saw like not only in my real life, but like wanted to also kind of like explore with my own story. And yeah, I absolutely could not recommend. This is a total everyone film. It is bleak and it's dark in places, but it's so joyous as well, and I love it so much. Number 22, my favorite Disney movie of all time, The Lion King. This was another birthday movie for me when I was little, and it just ran right through me. I cried when Mufasa died. I was happy when fun things happened, and Scar's Be Prepared is the best song in any Disney movie by far. Fucking bars after bars from Scar. The fucking hyenas backing him up. It's so good. I love this movie so much, and it is so beautiful. I have nothing to say about the 3D Lion King movies. I never watched them. I never will watch them. Those look like really boring looking movies, which is just absolutely insane to me when you look at what this movie is. And I think it casts a long shadow, and I genuinely don't think that... I don't know that there is a 2D Disney-style movie that will ever surpass it. Like, it is that virtuosic in what it does, and just phenomenal. Number 21, going from one of the most well-known, well-regarded movies of all time to probably one of the least known movies on this list, unless you have seen my disturbing movies video, and it is number 21, Possession. Possession is a story about a marriage breaking down. It's about a man and a woman who no longer love each other and don't know how to process that, and it is simultaneously a film about a woman communicating with eldritch beings from beyond. It barely makes any sense. It's very hard to follow what is actually happening, and by the second the credits hit, you won't really understand what the fuck you just watched. And that's okay, because it is also one of the most visually shocking and horrifying things I have ever seen. There's like several different shots in this movie that absolutely freeze me cold, and I will say the subway tunnel scene might be... I know earlier in this list I said Pulse had, I think, the most frightening single shot. I would probably put this scene over that. If you know it, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. You know exactly what happens this woman, and it's like, it's just you're just watching her become something else, and it is so nightmarish, and it is so frightening. Like, something about the scene feels dangerous and electric, and it's just beautiful. Apparently the director was a fucking nightmare to work on this, and he wasn't great to women on his sets. Always gotta like qualify it there, because like I always believe that like art should be an expression of pain, it should never cause pain. But the woman in this gives it just the most phenomenal performance. Let me get her name. Isabelle Adjani is her name, and just one of the greatest performances I have ever seen, and I just love this movie. It's something I like to show to people when I get especially close to them, just to see what they think, and yeah, it is phenomenal. Number 20, Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Okay, look, there's better movies on this list. There are technically better movies on this list, and this isn't a film I'm going to show everyone. But to me, this is the most 90s movie of all time. This is the movie. This is the forbidden VHS anime tape. Hey, did you know that they make Japanese cartoons and that they're violent and weird and that there's a Street Fighter one? I fucking love it. I think it's a phenomenally made movie. Like, I think actually the animation and the like cinematography in this movie is really, really underrated. But what I think I love about it so much is it took this game series, Street Fighter, something I love so dearly, something that is, something I have been playing since, around the time I could talk. And it transformed it into this like adult kind of fucked up world where like it felt real and weird and edgy, and it's incredible. Did the Chun-Li shower scene help? Yes it did. A little. That was a lot to a prepubescent me, but also that, like, just fucking watch that Vega Chun-Li fight scene and tell me that is not one of the sickest things you've ever seen. It also features Ryu and Ken at their absolute gayest, which is a lot of fun. And Bison is incredible. The opening fight with Sagat is incredible. The Bison, Vega, Balrog, and Sagat walking through the Shadowloo headquarters, it is phenomenal. And everyone's like stepping out of their way, and like the music. Watch this with the American soundtrack. Just watch it with the American soundtrack, okay? Right at the end of this movie, Ryu, having like defeated Bison and all this shit, is like walking down this long highway, and then a truck starts driving him, like driving towards him in the background, and then it cuts, and it's Bison, and Bison's driving the truck, and then Ryu jumps up, and he's about to kick through the window, and it freeze frames, and Corrin's "Are You Ready" plays, and it is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. I still have so much love for this movie, but yeah. Number 19, which I forgot to record, and I'm now recording on a separate day, so I look different, and I think my hair is different now, but don't worry about it, because it's The Dark Knight. This is one of the most basic bitch entries on this list. I don't care. I really love The Dark Knight. I think it's a phenomenal movie. I think it is, up until, I was gonna say up until recently my favorite superhero movie, but no, I think I do like this one better. I think I really do. And like, obviously it comes down to Heath Ledger's The Joker. You guys know that I really enjoy a good villain, and this is one of the best movie villains of all time. And I don't just mean like the Joker in the comics, I mean Heath Ledger's specific portrayal as the Joker, the wanna do a magic trick, all that shit. Like, it's all just so good. Some of the most beautifully cringe subcultures in the world formed from Heath Ledger's Joker here, and I just think it is a phenomenal performance. I think the rest of the movie is pretty fun. I think there's like, a lot of good action. I like the how kinetic and hard a lot of it feels, but it really just does come down to this just swaggering, insane depiction of the Joker that was so beautiful. And obviously there's a tragedy in that, because this was Heath Ledger's last movie. I think he died during this movie, which is just so sad. But it is a phenomenal performance in a grotesquely entertaining movie, and I love it. Number 18, The Animatrix. I love The Animatrix, and like there's several different versions of it I love, but the real reason this is here is Ghost Story. There is a film on The Animatrix called Ghost Story, and it is one of the shorts, and it is just, to me, a profoundly beautiful little short film about this little glitch in the Matrix. And this used to play on MTV in like the kind of late 90s, and it was something I could point to my friends and be like, that's anime, that's what I won't shut the fuck up about. And I think it meant a lot to me, because it showed that there was other people who really gave a shit about this stuff. Because again, I grew up in 90s Ireland. No one knew about anime. I knew basically no one I knew did. And this film, in a weird way, made me feel less alone, because I could see it on TV and point to it and be like, there's other people who think this is cool. And that was a fucking huge deal. And like, that's the point of art. It is meant to give you people's experiences. It is meant to connect you to other people. And this really meant a lot. Now, there's other bangers on here, like the Running one is incredible. The Samurai one is incredible. The second Renaissance 1 and 2, directed by Katsuhiro Otomo, phenomenal. I don't remember the other ones too much, but I just thought this was a lot of fun. And it also came in that really interesting age of CG where everything was starting to feel new and different, and lifelike CGI was becoming possible. And I still think it holds up. I still think it's great. I need to rewatch it, but yeah. The Animatrix. Number 17, End of Evangelion. The End of Evangelion is a really fucked up movie. It is a fucked up, angry movie by someone who kind of hates what they've created. And it is really beautiful because of that. This is like, if you want to say Evangelion 4.0 is like Hideaki Anno's light side, and it's him coming to terms with a lot of the issues he's grappled with in Evangelion over the years, End of Evangelion is the jagged, broken off point of that, where it's like, no, there's a lot of disdain for his own creation in this movie. There's like literally a scene of Shinji building a giant sandcastle and kicking it down. And it's beautiful. Like, it's an amazing looking movie, and it really blew me away when I first saw it. I feel like there's so many movies on this list or from this point on, where it's impossible to separate the movie itself from what I feel towards it, and like the specific point it came along in my life. when I first watched this movie, I had just finished the Leaving Cert, which is, I guess Ireland's version of the SATs if you live in America, your final exam in high school. And that night I went out camping with all my secondary school friends. And it was like 4 a.m. and I was gathered around the campfire and there was like smoke in my face and like the guys were just being dicks because they were always dicks. And like they weren't being a dick to me, they were just, it was just their way, you know, like they were teenage boys, but like there was a real seed of like kind of misogyny and stuff, and like the way they treated women are horrible. And I was just like, I remember looking around at them and being like, I don't think this is my place anymore. So at 4 a.m, I got up, I packed my shit, and I was like, lads, I'm actually gonna head home. And we were like up in the mountains out at a forest, and I didn't know how I was going to get home. And I just started walking in the general direction that I thought my house was. And I walked for about 2 to 3 hours. And in hindsight, that was incredibly dangerous and I shouldn't have done that. But then I actually recognized something like familiar. You know, I saw like a petrol station I recognized and made my way home from there. I got home, I went to bed, I slept for about 4 hours, I woke up the next day, and I went into town and I bought Resident Evil 4 and the DVD copy of End of Evangelion. I played Resident Evil 4 non-stop, and I watched End of Evangelion, and I loved it so much that I didn't watch it again for another like 5 years, because I was like, I never want to lose the feeling of what this was like. I watched it at 2 a.m, not being fully cognizant of like what it was about or what was happening, but just like taking in every inch of emotion from it. And it came at a time when like my Ava fandom was kind of at its peak as well. And it was just like a magical experience. It's the kind of experience I always want other people to have, but you can never recreate it for them. You're going to watch this movie and it's not going to be like that. Now you're going to appreciate like the amazing like animation, the soundtrack, just the direction, there's so much to like here, but you're never going to have quite my experience. But we are at the point where the list is now deeply personal. And I mean, like, it was always personal, but the reasons that these next couple of films appear, it goes beyond craft, and it's more like the perfect piece of media entering your life at the perfect time. And that's what I think everyone's favorite pieces of media should be, you know, because otherwise, like, when people talk about objectivity in media analysis or media critique, what are you actually talking about there? Because by my estimation, all you're talking about is like what you think other people will like. Like, you can't objectively measure a camera shot. You cannot objectively measure a performance. You can go, the closest thing you can do is go by group consensus. The group says that, like, most people say this is an incredible camera shot, therefore it must be a camera shot. But fuck that. What do you feel about it? How did it hit you when it this has gone into like this whole other fucking thing. That's what End of Evangelion is to me. It would take a real amazing movie to surpass End of Evangelion on this list. And yet we have one. Number 16, it's Space Jam. My feelings about Space Jam have been documented in the movie Space Jam 2 is a Lie. I deeply adore this movie. I love it so much. I think it is a incredible movie and a technical masterpiece. I think it is about surpassing one's limits. I think it is about going beyond yourself and becoming something different. And I don't think any of that was intended by the people who made it, and I don't fucking care. You know, it helps. It helps if you've watched the companion piece to Space Jam, The Last Dance, the Netflix documentary about the Chicago Bulls, my favorite documentary series of all time. And it helps if you're a fan of Michael Jordan, which I am. I have never seen a single game of basketball, but I like Michael Jordan, even though he's kind of meant to be a little bit of a prickly pear. That's fine. That's okay. And Space Jam, I love it. Space Jam was one of the first transformation sequences I ever saw in any piece of media. I saw the Monstars transform before I ever saw Goku go Super Saiyan, and I thought it was the coolest fucking thing I'd ever seen. This idea of becoming this more complete, powerful version of yourself, I still think that sequence is incredible, and I think the animation is amazing in this. I love it so much. Roger Rabbit probably should have been on this list, but I don't think it is. That was quite a silly entry, and so let's get things back on track. Number 15, Jingle All the Way, the greatest Christmas movie of all time. I have maybe watched Jingle All the Way more than I have watched any other movie on this list, because I watch it basically every 2 years, and I would say I've seen it maybe 20 times, and it never gets old. It's a fucking brilliantly Christmassy, silly movie, and it is about suffering, and I'm only half joking. I have had a video in my head that I've wanted to make for the longest time called The Existential Horror of Jingle All the Way, and I might make it someday. It's not going to be this Christmas, but I kind of want to make it because I love this movie. I love what it says about human suffering. And I also just love how fun it is. There's not an ounce of flab on this movie. It goes and it goes and it goes. And there's so many great one-liners, so many silly things happening. Arnold Schwarzenegger stars in this movie. He doesn't need to. There's no reason this needs to be a gigantically muscled man who's like kind of speaks in broken English, not broken English, who speaks with a heavy accent. None of it's ever addressed, and it's just beautiful, except there's one bit where Troy McClure's voice actor goes, "Let's see you bench press your way out of this one," which is God, and he is so good in it, and everyone is so good in it, and I adore this movie. It is phenomenal. Number 14, John Wick 4. I went and saw John Wick 4 in the cinema, and I sat there for nearly 3 hours and had my fucking face melted off by this movie. It is nearly the greatest action movie. You know what? It is the greatest action movie I've ever seen. It is just stone cold, just the best action I have. It's the best martial arts movie. It's just an incredible achievement and evolution of everything that has come before action. There are so many phenomenal set pieces in this. It's like there's the fight in the car, basically in heavy traffic, where like John Wick is just fucking people into cars for like 15 straight minutes. There's like a fight in there's like a fight up a massive like range of stairs, which is amazing. There's the warehouse fight where it basically turns into Hotline Miami. There's so much to love about this movie and everything it does. And it's just a phenomenally beautiful movie. Like one of the best looking movies on this list easily, but it just has so much like swagger and style, and everyone's a character. Everyone is a character in this movie, and it feels like the logical extension of like a No More Heroes or a Killer 7 game. And it is just, it's one of those movies that I could go over there right now and just happily watch it and sit there for 3 hours in pure adrenaline-soaked bliss. And God damn it, I love this movie so much. I saw this movie in the cinema, and then I went to take my dad to see it in the cinema, and we went to like a late showing, and we got out after midnight. And I just turned to my dad and I was like, "It was pretty fucking cool, wasn't it?" And he just goes, yeah, it was. And like, he's just like, my dad's just like an older Irish man, but even he loved it, you know? So yeah, amazing movie. Number 13, I lied, The Matrix Reloaded. It is awesome that they made a prequel movie to The Matrix Reloaded. I haven't seen it. I don't care. I heard they made a sequel as well. Pointless. The Matrix Reloaded is one of my favorite movies of all time, because it is also one of those movies that cannonballed into my life and was like, hey, you love martial arts and weird shit. And I did love both those things so dearly. There was so much like hype around The Matrix, and there was so much like it's so much like anticipation for this second movie. And when it came out and people didn't like it, I was horrified, because I absolutely fucking loved it. I loved it so much. and it was just this kind of insane and beautiful just birthday cake of a movie, and there's so much stupid shit in it, and it didn't matter because I fell in love with it so hard. And I love that there was people out there making like such weird and different movies from anything else I had seen, and I could see it as kind of it's kind of camp now, but at the time it just utterly fucking blew my mind. And it was also in this movie that I saw the trailer for a later movie that we're going to talk about, and I adore it. I can't separate it from being a teenager. I can't separate it from getting like stoned off my fucking ass before going to see this movie, and just me and my friend in ecstasy the entire time at the insanity that we were seeing. So yeah, one of my favorite memories, one of my favorite movies. I love it. Number 12, Evangelion 2.0. Evangelion 2.0 takes everything I love about Evangelion and smushes it down into a 2-hour movie, and it's phenomenal. It's just one of my favorite things I've ever seen. I love the vibe of this movie. I love how silly it is. I love the water park. You know, I love so much about it. I think the animation is phenomenal, and it takes everything about my favorite TV show and condenses it, and there is a joy in that. There is so much I love about that. 1.0 I don't give a shit about. 3.0 I kind of actively dislike. 4.0 I made my peace with. 2.0 is something I deeply, deeply love. And I remember the experience of going to see it in the cinema with my friends. One of the first times we had ever seen like anime on a big screen in a cinema. And it just blew me away. Just absolutely blew me away. And I even loved Mari. Just the kind of semi-pointless girl in the rebuilds. I know someone's going to immediately be like, well, actually, she's not pointless because she's the one who introduced... Like, I don't care. But yeah, no, I adore Evangelion 2.0. It is the sweet spot in the rebuilds for me. And it will forever just be one of my favorite movies in just of how fun it is and how insane its action is, and just an amazing movie. Number 11, Skinamarink. There is going to be someone out there right now losing their fucking mind at Skinamarink being this high on the list. Some people hate this movie, and that's okay, because it's totally fine to be a coward. Okay, it's totally fine to want art to be what you recognize and to never think about it other than that I'm being a dick. I don't actually think that at all. Skinamarink is the most horrifying experience I have ever had with a horror movie. But I think I need to put this in context, right? Because I sat down one night to watch Skinamarink after hearing all kinds of weird shit about it. And I found it frustrating and a little boring, and I fell asleep. Then a couple of nights later, I was like, oh, fuck, look, there was some kind of interesting things about Skinamarink. Maybe I should see where it goes. And I sat down and I watched it again, and I fell asleep again. Fell asleep immediately this time. And I was like, oh, fucking Jesus, okay. I sat down to watch it a third time, last chance, and what unfolded was the most profoundly terrifying experience I have ever had with a piece of horror. It's scared the absolute bejesus out of me, and it was the closest I've ever had to like a full-on like hallucinogenic experience. I felt like I was in this film. I felt like I was watching these things happen. I wasn't entirely sure what was going on, but it didn't matter, because this is a film that you need to feel as opposed to understand. And when it hits you with its horror, when you hear the words, "Now put the knife in your eyes," just galactically terrifying. Just beautiful and horrifying and just amazing. And it's the only horror film I think I've ever watched where I felt genuine relief once it was over. I felt genuine, like, oh, thank God, I couldn't take much more of that. I am scared to watch it again, not because I'm scared of it, even though I am scared of it. But because I never want that experience to change, I'm never going to have that quite the same way again. And I think I might leave it another 5 years until the memories have really kind of drained and then watch it again. If you give a shit about weird, strange horror, you owe it to yourself to watch this movie. I'm not saying you're going to like it. I am saying like there's a small chance you might have the experience with it I did. And if there is even a small chance of that, trust me, it's worth it. Number 10, Shape of My Voice. Yeah, this movie left me a withering fucking mess in the cinema. I went to see it with a bunch of friends, and we all got split up because the cinema was just packed, and so I just sat there and I watched it, and it just broke me down and made me cry, and I loved it. Some people do not like this movie. Some people prefer the manga, and I've read some of the manga, and yeah, the manga is also very, very good. But I think specifically what this movie did is it touched on two things that I am very sensitive to, and I would say one is being involved with someone who has a disability that means they can't really connect with the world like everyone else. And then the second one, the second one is dealing with someone who has mental health issues, and them being a super important part of your life, and you wanting to help them and not being entirely sure how. And if you have never dealt with either of those things, then this movie is oh man, then this movie is not going to hit you like it did me. Clearly it did hit me that way, you know, and it is a very personal thing, and not something I would expect everyone to really understand, but it's there. The fact that the movie also looks amazing, has a ton of charming characters and an incredible soundtrack and just incredible sound design also helps. If you're unfamiliar, it's a film about a guy making friends with a deaf girl, and it is just phenomenal. I really, really love it. I love it so, so much. And yeah, the line "I am trying my best" tears a hole in me. Just absolutely. Oh, okay, what's next? Something more joyous, I hope. Number 9, Princess Mononoke. Princess Mononoke, so I saw Spirited Away when I was little. Well, I mean, I was like 14, 15, I don't know. I saw it after The Matrix Reloaded, also got super stoned before seeing it. We'll get to that. And I really wanted that hit again. I wanted to see more Studio Ghibli because that was the best shit I'd ever seen. I ordered a DVD copy of Princess Mononoke. It came in the post one day. I sat down, I watched it on my dad's PC, and was absolutely transfixed, blown away, and fell in love with it. I had never seen a movie like this. I had never seen an animated movie that felt so real and raw and gritty and was so desperate in what it was trying to say. This kind of conversation about environmentalism. I fell in love with Princess Mononoke. I fell in love with the guy in it. I adored every character. There was no bad guys. You know, there's no villain in this movie. There's people like operating from their own perspective, but no one's evil. Everyone has a reason for doing the things they do, and that was really like mind-blowing to me back then. And like I still think back to this movie and I'm like, man, fuck, we need to treat the earth better. And that message still resonates so much later. A phenomenally beautiful movie with an incredible soundtrack, and I still think to this day Princess Mononoke's character design is like all-time GOAT character design. Her with the mask, her without the mask, just incredible looking. Beautiful, amazing animation, and just one of the most stunning animated movies ever created. Like, this was the movie to me that personally showed me that there was this entirely different bar for animation than what I recognized as good animation. And it's just art in the purest sense. It's the most skilled craftspeople in the world making a film about something that they deeply inherently care about. And I am just so happy it exists. I love it so much. Number 8, Kill Bill. I adore Kill Bill. I love it so much. I think it is a phenomenal movie. I really need to rewatch it because it's been years, but this was one of those movies, again, I saw it in early high school. A friend had to convince me to go see it because I was convinced it wouldn't be good. I have no idea why. I don't know why I didn't want to see this. And I went and I saw it, and it opened up like an entirely new kind of cinema to me. I think this was the first Quentin Tarantino film I ever saw, and it was my first experience with like auteur cinema. And like, whatever, like there's a lot of discourse around the idea of auteurs and all that kind of stuff. This was something that felt so alive and so just filled with like an atmosphere and a vibe in a way that no other movie I had ever seen had. And there was such a profound love of other, like, I still have my fucking DVD copy right over here. Hell yeah. I bought this afterwards because I loved it so much. And I loved everyone in it. It was a film full of like badass ladies. And, I've never talked about this before in any... Sorry. It was a film full of just like badass ladies. And I've never actually talked about this like on stream or like on these videos. I have somewhat of a weakness for strong women, for like tough women. I think it would just be weird to get into it, so I'm not going to. But yeah, I like myself some ladies that could murder me, and this film has like 80. Well, it doesn't have 80. There is the Crazy 88, where the Crazy 88 fight scene is so good. I just love this movie. I love it so much, and I think what I love about it is that Quentin Tarantino is like drawing on a lot of shit with this movie. Like this is a homage to so many different kind of styles of movie and eras of film, and I would retroactively learn that I loved them all. Samurai movies, kung fu movies, like kind of like weird 70s movies, like boss rush kill boss style movies, like Japanese movies, and just there was so much. Go is so fucking cool. Is there a more iconic song in a movie than Battle Without Honor? Or just the entire soundtrack? Just go listen. If you don't go watch Kill Bill, please go listen to the soundtrack. It is banger after banger after banger. Don't let me be misunderstood. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I like the second movie as well, but the second movie is more a revenge movie than this kind of boss rush style movie. And it's still great. It still rules. But I love this movie so much. Number 7. Last Summer. This was the final movie I talked about in my disturbing horror movies video, and this is a difficult one to recommend. There is some really shocking and violent stuff in this movie, to the point that if you're gonna go for it and you're like sensitive to that stuff, do your research and know what you're getting into. It's probably the most inherently cruel film I have ever seen. Like, it is just... And in a way, like, it's about innocence, but I think it's also about how real, pure cruelty can only exist in innocence. And there's also something about this movie where it's just, it feels like anything else, unlike anything else I have ever seen. Even before anything bad really happens, this movie makes me uncomfortable in a way that I really can't even put into words. It's like that there's just this low, ominous hum throughout the entire thing. And what it is, it's about a group of teenagers meeting up. All their parents are rich. All their parents, like, basically take them to this, seaside holiday resort, and they all just hang out with each other. And it's kind of joyous in that Like, in its kind of you can tell they just really get a kick out of being around each other, and like there's a real sincerity to it, but there's like this insidious aspect that creeps into their group, and it just grows and grows and grows until you hit that final scene, and it is just it's so nightmarish. But yeah, like they don't I've never seen another movie like this, and I've never met anyone else who knows about this movie. The only reason I ever watched it was because I had like a television in my room when I was like 16, and I turned on Channel 4, and this movie was playing at like 3 a.m. And then I just watched it and was just enthralled by this weird summer vacation world of these, like, with these 4 teenagers, and like, you know, I kind of fell in love with them. I thought they were amazing, you know, and then was just so like shocked and heartbroken by the end, and it like changed me a little bit. Like it kind of took away some of my innocence, as fucked up as that a thing is to say. And then for like, man, for about 10 years, I didn't know what the movie was called. And so I couldn't look it up. I couldn't go find it. And then one day it came back to me. It was like, I think that movie was called Last Summer. I think there was a bit where it like cut to a break, and on Channel 4 it used to display the name of the film before and after breaks. And I remember saying Last Summer. It then took me another 3 or 4 years to track down, until finally someone uploaded a copy to the internet. Because like, this didn't get a VHS, this didn't get a release, this didn't get anything. And so I found it, I watched it, and it felt exactly like I remembered it. Its edges weren't dulled by the fact that I was now like an adult. It still felt like that. Those are the only... I've watched it 3 times now, and every time it's like fucked me up. And I watched it with one of my friends, and they were like, yes, that movie is something weird and special. And I love it. It's also from like the 1950s. It's in color, but it feels old. And I think that only really adds to like the uncanniness of it all, because that's an era not only that like I've never experienced, but I don't know a lot of media set in the 50s, you know? So yeah, beautiful, beautiful movie. Number 6, Gremlins 2. Gremlins 2, this is not a joke, is one of the most perfect movies to ever exist. I love Gremlins, and I really love Gremlins 2. And this was the first movie that I was scared to see it when I was little, but I was also deeply, deeply fascinated by kind of what it was, you know? And eventually I got permission to watch it, and I watched it so much. I loved the idea of gremlins as these little beings of chaos, and they're not human, they're not like everyone else, they're different, and they're weird, and they're strange, and they come on all these different varieties. Like, this is the movie where there's a vegetable gremlin, there's an electric gremlin, there's a spider gremlin, there's a bat gremlin, there's a genius gremlin, there's a lady gremlin. Gremlins are genderless, they can just be whatever they want. Ain't that great? And it's also like, just there's something in every second of this movie that is just so fun and weird and strange. And then in the credits for the cinema release, it was Hulk Hogan was in it, which when I was little meant a lot, but now so significantly less. But yeah, I think it's one of the most creative movies ever made. I think it's an absolute fucking triumph in like practical effects and just how far they could push that style of movie. And I still love it to this day. I will still happily just sit it down, put it on, and it is just a movie that makes me feel joy from beginning to end. I deeply, deeply, deeply love it. I think it's one of the best horror movies ever made. I don't think it's that scary. I don't think it needs to be, because it's that fucking entertaining. I think in a lot of ways the first Gremlins is maybe a better horror movie, but this one is just a sunburst explosion of madness where you're taking this concept from the first movie and just blowing it out in a million different ways, and it's so creative and weird and fun, and I just adore it. Okay, final 5. Number 5, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Oh, this is probably the movie on this list that I nearly have the most trouble in explaining why I love it, because never has a film title been so accurate. Everything Everywhere All at Once is this chaotic, explosive, infinitely impossible film that encapsulates so much and yet is so beautiful and fun and sad and hilarious and everything about it. The story of this movie is basically that this woman is trapped in... No, she's not trapped. She just doesn't like her life. You know, her husband is dispassionate. She doesn't like her job. It's kind of just not a very fun existence. And she learns that she is actually the one of an infinite number of lives spread across different, like, so different versions of her spread across infinite realities, and she starts tumbling through them. And in some, she's a famous movie star. In some, she's like, you know, similar to herself now, but happier. In some, with her husband. In some, without her husband. In some, she is made of slinkies. In some, she is a rock. In some, she is a fucking killer martial arts assassin. And it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes. And the result is just one of the most beautifully insane and explosive movies I've ever seen. Visually, it's incredible. The sound is incredible. Every actor absolutely kills it. But it's kind of ends on this message, and like I need to rewatch it again to get this down because it's been a minute. It ends on this message about how ultimately it's kind of like you are the best version of yourself, or you are the ultimate version of what you are now. And I need to rewatch it again. I'm sorry, I'm absolutely not doing that final message justice, but it left me feeling profoundly hopeful, and not a lot does that now, you know? Like, it left me feeling like things are going to be okay. I will be fine. Like, the weird journey that has brought me up to this point, that's all been cool. And I can keep going, and it doesn't matter about what else might have been or what could have happened. All that matters is, like, we're here and we have this path in front of us, and it is that message communicated in the most kaleidoscopic, rainbow-infused thing you have ever seen, and I will always so deeply cherish seeing this in the cinema and loving it so much. Number 4, Perfect Blue. I'm sure some of you saw this coming. I made a video about Perfect Blue, oh my god, 7, 8 years ago? 9 years ago? I think it was 9 years ago. And, fuck, man. I made that video when I think I was at about 150,000 subscribers. And the idea that I am someone who is known by other people who I do not know, was becoming really apparent. I was starting to see people have, like, opinions of me online. Good and bad, you know? And what really kind of, like, scared the shit out of me was that, like, it was definitely around the time that, like, I was, like, getting, like, my first, like, haters or whatever. And I remember watching some of their videos and just being like, it's like they're talking about a different person. Like, they're making all these assumptions about, like, who I am and why I do what I do. And so much of it is, like, doesn't feel like me. Like, it feels like they're talking about someone else, you know? And I had already seen Perfect Blue. I had seen Perfect Blue, like, years ago. Me and my cousin had watched it. I think I've told the story a bunch of times, but we basically, we had a PlayStation and a bunch of anime. We watched them one night. We both fell asleep watching Perfect Blue. We both woke up in the final scene, and we were just like, what the fuck is going on? And I just thought it was a really weird, strange movie. I then watched it a couple of years later, whole different appreciation for it. This movie is actually incredible. This is brilliant. Satoshi Kon is a GOAT, and I want to see everything he's ever done. Then I watched it for this video, and I would say I had really enjoyed it the 2 previous times I'd seen it, but I wasn't necessarily frightened by it. This time, it scared the fucking shit out of me. Because I could see it. Like, I could see what this film was about. I understood what it was like to have people create this alternate version of you. And in some ways, that version become more powerful. You know what? Fuck that. Let me re-say that. I knew what it was like to create this alternate version of yourself and put that self out there. You know, like, that has been my life. Like, what you're watching right now, this is the persona. Like, this is... And it's not like... I talked about this a bunch on stream. It's not like I'm not trying to be authentic here, or you're not hearing, like, the real me. But if I don't like how this section comes out, I'm gonna ask Fox to recut it. I'm going to reshoot it to present you with a more presentable version of me. And that more presentable version, that's the version that exists online. You know, it's not me, the person. And there's been a bunch of times that, you know, in my online career where I have seen people, like, see that alternate version, and it can be fucking crazy. You know, another story I'm sure you guys have heard me tell this one a bunch of times, but I remember one of the first cons I did, like international cons, was in Germany, and I was getting breakfast in the hotel one day, and this girl came up to me, and she's a really lovely girl, really, really nice, and we were just chatting, and then she asked me for a hug. And I was a little taken aback, just because no one had ever asked me for a hug before. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I gave her a hug. And afterwards, like, I looked her in the eye, and her pupils were fully dilated. And she was looking at me like... She was looking at me in a way that I could tell that she wasn't seeing me. She was seeing the persona. Like, I wasn't really there. She was seeing Super Eyepatch Wolf, this YouTuber who she had watched, like, all the videos of, like, and just, it was a profoundly strange moment. And, you know, one of the things I still like, have struggled with online is kind of, like, existing in that dual way. And still trying to find that, like, line between, like, authenticity and being entertaining. And it can start to... And, like, you know, I have been absolutely blessed on YouTube in terms of not really getting into that much controversy, except people just not agreeing with my takes and stuff like that. Which, like, isn't controversy, that's just fucking humans. But, like, there's been very little, like, problematic shit that has come my way. But I think the one or two times that people circled the wagons and people rounded up a posse and got really, really mad at me, there was this feeling of like, wait, no, hang on. That's not what I meant. I think you guys have like a different idea of me here. And in that moment, it's like everyone believes it so strongly that it is like the persona becomes more real than you, you know? And it is a profoundly disturbing feeling, perfectly captured by this movie. So yeah, Perfect Blue is number 4. Top 3. I don't think there's going to be any surprises here for people, but yeah. Number 3, Spirited Away. To me, the purest and most beautiful animated film ever created. Animation can convey whatever the mind can conceive. Spirited Away is the purest, most perfect example of that. This is a story about a little girl getting sucked into a fantasy world. You, the viewer, will watch this movie and also feel like you are sucked into a fantasy world, because that is what this movie is trying to do, and it is unbelievably gorgeous. You could trace a direct line from me seeing Spirited Away all the way to me standing in front of you recording this video right now. That is how impactful Spirited Away was. When this is the movie I saw the trailer for during The Matrix Reloaded, and I love The Matrix Reloaded, incredibly fun movie. This movie genuinely changed my life, because it was after this movie I came out of that cinema and I said, I want to get into animation. I want to make my own cartoons. I want to tell my own stories. And the decision to get into animation eventually led to my decision to get into YouTube. And it was my... So, like, I think when people ask, like, okay, what is it that makes me online? Like, what's the shit I do online? I would hope that people would say is John tends to talk about things that they love very passionately. This is one of the first pieces of art that I truly, passionately loved at a point where I was starting to be able to explain why. And I will never tire of this movie. I think it is an incredible movie. I think every second of it is just this amazing magical moment. And it is the most a film has ever pulled me into a world, and I will never ever stop loving it for that. And yeah, it's phenomenal. It is just like an absolute, to me, like, this is the peak of the animated world in so many ways, in terms of craft, in terms of art direction, in terms of design. It's just one of the best things, the best thing I've ever seen. It's amazing. Number 2, The Shining. Look, I think Skinamarink scared me more as an adult. The Shining fucking warped me. When I was little, I think I told this story in the very first horror video I ever did about Junji Ito. I went to a friend's sleepover and we were watching Twister. And in Twister, there's like a bunch of people in a drive-in cinema watching The Shining on a TV screen. And even just the image of those two girls standing in the hall scared me in a way that I didn't know how to convey. I didn't know how to express. I didn't know what was happening. I just knew that I was afraid. And what a powerful thing to do. Taking that one shot from that movie, putting it in another movie, and the fear behind it still being so impactful and so devastating that it punches right through another movie into a little kid's sleepover and profoundly changes one of them. That is how powerful The Shining is. But, like, I mean, watch Room 237, watch the documentary behind this movie, watch how this movie worms its ways into people's brains and makes them see things that I don't think are there, but what it really does is it draws them into the hotel. It traps them there. Like, the Overlook Hotel is a place where people, ghost spirits, gets trapped. The Shining is a movie that does the same thing. I think so many people have been trapped by this movie in the most beautiful, profound, and horrifying ways. And I think this was also, like, it was my entryway into things like liminal space, like a concept I love so much. It was my entry into, like, thinking about what real violence actually was. The Shining's a violent movie. There's no fighting in it. Jack Torrance never actually lays a hand on his wife or son in any kind of violent way, and yet the feeling, the intention of violence has never felt more real. And it is beautiful in a kind of infinite way. Like, when I think of what The Shining is, what the Overlook Hotel is, it is this infinite space that goes so far beyond our reality. It feels endless, you know, and that's fucking art, man. You know, like, that's what art is. That's why it's important. It is a gateway into something else. That's what The Shining has and always will feel like to me. Number 1. The film that profoundly changed my life. The film that is... If you want to follow that line beyond Spirited Away back even further than that, it is a little kid in County Meath whose older cousins just kicked him out of the sitting room because they're not old enough to watch what the older cousins are watching. And it's them peeking through the door and watching Akira. a fucking like 7-year-old child watching Akira, seeing how violent it was, watching the Tetsuo guts scene, and having their DNA overwritten. Because it turns out cartoons, our favorite thing in the world at this point, there's a whole different continent of them. There's a whole different universe of them. Animation could talk about things that I was not equipped to talk about at that point. And I was obsessed. That was the moment I became obsessed with anime. That's the moment I became obsessed with dark, strange art. And that is the moment I started on the path that led right here. That alone, I feel like, would be enough to secure it like top 5 at least. But the fact is, Akira is a miracle of a movie. This film hasn't aged a fucking day. Now, it's hard to follow, and it's a strange one, especially the first time you see it, and especially if you haven't read the comic. And I would also say the Akira comic is a close number 2 to the Berserk comic, the Berserk manga. That is how good this is. And yeah, if I was to label the one most influential piece of art ever, it's Akira. Like, you're going to see elements of Akira in Eyepatch Wolves. You're going to see elements of it in everything I do. And one of the videos I'm still the most proud of, that I think probably holds up pretty okay, is the impact of Akira. And I am standing here. You are watching this video because of Akira. Akira brought us together, my friend. Akira led to, honestly, like, everything good in my life. And it was just following my love of that and never letting it go that led to this fucking house, that led to my wife downstairs, that led to every friend I have. And my love for this movie has never dulled. Not for a single second. And I still think there's so much in it about potential. You know, there's so much in it about, like, insecurity, about what it is to be in the shadow of someone else, about, like, realizing where you belong. And maybe that doesn't all come through if you haven't read the manga, but trust me, it's all there, and it is absolutely fucking phenomenal. Akira, my number 1 movie of all time. And you know what? I would say that there's been times in the past where I've thought about how Akira, The Shining, Spirited Away, and Perfect Blue are all interchangeable. I love them all that much. But having gone through this list and gone through it like this, no, I think I am comfortable saying Akira is my favorite movie. And I really hope you enjoyed this, guys. I think I'm going to be putting up this video, unless there's a delay, which there might be, sometime around the 10th anniversary of the channel. It's been 10 years since Why You Should Watch Hunter x Hunter. And things have changed a lot in a million different ways. And the way I make videos is changing. Like this, I never would have made a video like this 2 years ago, you know? And the way I make videos is going to continue changing, but I always want my love for the things I care about to come through. And I really hope it did this video. And I really hope you enjoyed it. And I hope that this helps you find some media that you love. That's all I gotta say, but thank you for watching my video, and I hope you had a good time. I will see you in the next one.